Hello, friends. Welcome in. It's been a while. It's been over 2 months since my last live stream. And I'm happy to be here. Today, we're going to be trying out SolidStart because version 1.0.0 was just released. So we're going to give it a try. Welcome in, everyone. Good to see you. Yeah. And what's up, Shark Turn Up? Good to see you. Who says, I forgot to ask, did Syntax give you the cool syntax board or did you make it? No, I bought it. I guess a quick plug for the syntax shop. If you go to century.shop, you can buy one. It's for sale. And I actually bought one before I got the job. How much do I enjoy my job now? It's the best job I've ever had. It's super cool. I get to work with cool people. I get to work on cool stuff. Yeah, it's amazing. Not to brag or anything, but yeah, I love it. All right, let's say hi to everyone. It's so good to see you all. I need to find time to stream, but I just never do. And today is a holiday in the US, so that's why I found the time today. And Pablo, what's up with 42, or Paolo, with 42 months. Thank you so much. But yeah, Andrew, good to see you. Thanks for dropping in. What's up, Moshiko and Stony Eagle and Ched. And yeah, Andrew, thanks for dropping in. And Mohaid, hello. Hello, Sebastian, good to see you. Thanks for, people were worried about me. I don't know if Sebastian was the same person that asked on Twitter, but they were like, where you been? Where are you? And Sebastian asked in the YouTube comments over on the recent syntax video. But I was on vacation for a week, and then when I came back, Wes had a baby, so I recorded podcast episodes with Scott, so I had less time to spend working on videos. So last week I recorded podcast episodes and worked on videos. This week you should see some videos published by me on the Syntax channel, and but I'll also be recording more future episodes with Scott tomorrow. And Orion, good to see you. Yeah, and thank you, Veeb. Thanks for dropping in. I see quite a few people that mention that they're dropping in for a second, because this is not my normal time slot. So I know a lot of you.
Cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 110. Let me finish my leftover bits pizza.
Thank you for your leftover bits pizza, Paolo. I appreciate it. Awesome. Yeah, and I mean, I didn't expect to go live, but I did. The thing is, it's been 2 months since the last time I was live on this channel. So just getting everything set up took like an hour to make sure like all my overlays were ready to go and all my camera and capture card and everything. But yeah. What's up, Phylon? Yeah, today will be like a Try-Day Friday, but it's on a Monday. So that'll be a thing. And yeah, what's up, Connery? Good to see you. Thank you for that sub. And iRossum, good to see you. And BashX. Stony says, I shouldn't stick around, but I have no choice. Now do I? I mean, you don't have to, but thanks for being here. And Samik, good to see you. And Farshid, Shark Turnup, good to see you. Giannis, good to see you. Yeah, I've only done one live stream or 2 live streams on the Syntax channel. We haven't really talked about what more live streams there'll be. I've kind of just been focused on making videos, but yeah. And it's the same studio. It's been a while since I streamed, so you might have missed the streams where I was in the studio. But yeah, and heck, good to see you too. Yeah, and yeah, what's up, Leon? Welcome in. We're here, and thank you, One Computer Guy. And thanks for the subs. Yeah, I'll thank all the people that resubbed and subbed. Stony Eagle with the 33 months. Thank you for that. Connery with the 7 months. And Connery with the gift. Thank you for that gift. And One Computer Guy with the 33 months. Paolo with the 42 months. And also with the bits. Thank you, Paolo. And here's my break timer. So let's take a quick break. I'm almost caught up on chat too. There aren't too many people here. So I should be able to catch up. What's up? I actually have a lack of a haircut. If you look at some of the early syntax videos that I did, I went and got a haircut. I went to a legitimate barber, which I have not done in like over 15 years. But my hair has just been growing since then. Like if you look at like the first and second video I published, like even this video, well, I was wearing a hat in that video. But like this one, yeah, it's me with a clean cut. And this is me with my hair grown out since then. I think I got it cut like one more time after that, but then I've just been letting it grow since then. But yeah, I love my job. It's great to be there. What's up, Eddie? Good to see you. What's up, Heck? SMC Maya, good to see you. And Valk, it's been a very long time. Good to see you as well. Hello, goodbye, Lamore. Thank you for dropping in. Enjoying your job is good. You have all the reasons to brag. Well, thank you, Stony. Thank you, Darian. Yeah, I've really been enjoying making all the stuff for Syntax. It's like, I mean, I guess even my style has evolved there, right? Because the videos that I'm making are edited videos, and what I do here on Coding Garden has always mostly been live. So spending the time like researching a video and then performing it and like doing multiple takes to try and get things right is a different thing for me, but I definitely enjoy it. Yeah. What's up, George? It's good to see you. Yeah, I'm loving my new job, definitely. And I am Ben Kang says you were on and presented the Docker episode. Yeah, so when I first started at Syntax, I think Wes had to be out for some reason, so I did record I think at least 2 podcast episodes. So I am on 2 podcast episodes, but Wes has been out now because he had a baby. So I'll be probably on, I think, at least 5 episodes, but we're on a delay because we're recording ahead of time. So those episodes probably won't be out for like a month or so. But yeah, I'm going to be on like 5 different episodes. And Eddie, thank you for the resub, who says, missed my streak due to Twitch denying my card. No! Well, thank you for the 38 months, Eddie. Very much appreciated. And what's up, Jan? Good to see you. This name is Stoked. Says, have a solemn Memorial Day. You as well. You as well. It's been a long time. I feel like the YouTube overlay names are broken, I think maybe for like the first chats. Who is this? Ritwick. Good to see you. Pablo says, I got a preview of an awesome new Syntax shirt from Scott, and I need to get it as soon as it's out. Yeah, I think there have been previews of what it's going to be, but it's not officially released, so I don't think I'll even talk about it just yet. But it's a cool one. It's a cool shirt. Thank you, Avi. Good to see you. Debug Media says, what made you go back to a job? The stars aligned. This was just like the perfect opportunity for me. It's the kind of work that I want to be doing. It's the kind of company I want to work for. And I mean, there was about 1.5 years where I was trying to do Coding Garden full time. And you can look at some of the streams where I talked about like how much money I made and how it wasn't exactly something I could live off of. But now I'm employed by Sentry and I get to be on the Syntax team. So I kind of get to do the stuff that I like to do, but I get a real paycheck, which is nice. So yeah. Avi says, I've been working on a cool feature for my extensions, matchmaking based on mutual watch time patterns. Are you talking about your YouTube extension? And will I go to the barber again? I don't know. I'm liking my hair. Well, actually, no, because I'm going to go to Fan Expo, which is like Comic-Con, and I'm going to dress up like Wilson from Don't Starve Together. And I want my hair to be wild and crazy. Yeah. So I need to keep growing my hair. I think is it in July or June? Fan Expo Denver. It's in 38 days, so I'm gonna keep growing my hair for the next 38 days, so I can have I won't have to wear a wig, and I can have a fun hairstyle to pretend to be this character. Come on, Stony, come on. I mean, comparatively, maybe this time I'll hit 100K. You should. And Kaiser is asking, do I have another job as a dev, or am I focusing on content creation now? So I'm a content creator, but that is my job. So if you take a look at the Syntax YouTube channel, they hired me on about 3 months ago. 3 months ago? Yeah, about 3 months ago to make videos for them. So if you look at the playlists, there is a playlist called Syntax Side Dish Explainers. These are some videos that I've made for them. And then I did a whole series on self-hosting your own server. And that's another series I did as well. And the whole idea is I'm basically making videos to go along with their podcast episodes. So if you haven't heard of Syntax.fm, they are the biggest and best web dev podcast. Did the styles get updated here? Like maybe the images aren't loading. Maybe the styles got updated. But they put out three podcast episodes a week. And some of the videos that I've done have basically been like deeper dives into the topics that they cover on the podcast. So yeah, that's what I do. Thank you, Farshid. Yeah. I benefit from enjoying the thing I do best, get us excited for dev stuff. Now it's my full-time job. Yeah, in a way, like my job is not a dev rel job, but it's probably the closest thing to it. But the idea is I kind of get to do whatever I want because I'm not like selling a specific product. Like we are technically brought to you by Sentry, but we get to talk about whatever we want. It's not just all content about Sentry. So yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, Paolo. Like even it's hard for me to even keep up with all the podcast episodes. But yeah, Paolo is saying the only problem with Syntax is too much content, and I never know what to watch. I think next month I'll start traveling for work, and I'll need a bunch of podcast episodes. Yeah, that's what happened with me too. I listened to like 4 episodes of Syntax when I was traveling. I guess 2 weeks ago, because I was in airports and on airplanes and in car rides. So I needed stuff to listen to. What's up, Harsh? Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. A paid feature for YouTube Time Manager. Fascinating. So you're finding ways of linking people together based on the videos that they watch? Yeah. Oh yeah, July 4th weekend. That's when Fan Expo is. Yeah. Have I tried to applying to dev jobs in the past year? It's rough out there. I have not. I got super lucky with the Syntax job popping up and then deciding that I wanted to apply for it. Because yeah, I have a lot of dev friends that are also having a hard time finding stuff. Yeah. And what's up, Fob? Thank you. Put out so many videos. I feel like I joined February 12th. So February to March, March to April, April to May. Almost 4 months, 3.5 months. I guess I have done videos. I feel like I have to do more though. I'm behind. I need a buffer of videos ready to be published, but I guess you're right. I have done, there's 5 here. And then no, I guess I put out 11 videos? It doesn't feel like enough. I need to do more. Yeah. My hair looks like Trevor Noah COVID. I mean, I don't take that as it is. He's a cool dude. I only saw a few clips of him during COVID though. Like Afro-esque. Like this. Sure. Whatever his hair, it looks great. Well, thank you, Lavranja. Thank you. You plan to both connect between users for new friendships and for dating. Powered by Firebase. Fascinating. I hope that's an opt-in feature. I feel it would be really weird if I had an extension installed and one day it was just like, hey, you should check out your friend over here who watches the same videos as you. But that's an interesting way to link people together, like their YouTube watch history. Okay, thanks for being here, everybody. It's good to see you all. Check out Syntax. This is what I'm doing full time now. I'm not to the point where I can confidently say that I will be streaming X times per month over here on Coding Garden. Obviously opt in. nice. But I want to get to the point where I am streaming like at least twice a month on Coding Garden. I talked about that early on, but we're not there yet. It's just going to be the random stream like this. Ooh, is this a new feature on YouTube? They highlight the icon and say live. That's cool. Need to put this right there. And tell you all, yeah, go follow Syntax. But right now, we're going to stop talking about Syntax and start talking about SolidStart. Wait, I'm not logged in. Oh, I guess I can do it over here. Yeah, there we go. Okay, let's get into it. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Paolo. I put a lot of research and work into those videos. Yeah. Well, I try to be here, YouTube or both. You mean live streaming? I don't know. I really don't know. Like, if I'm going to be completely honest, basically what's happening is I'm spending all my time working on these videos, like right up until the point that they get published. So it feels like I don't have time to do a live stream on Coding Garden because all my time is spent preparing the videos. And it feels like if I would go live on Coding Garden, basically I'm making more work for myself because now that's time that I didn't spend on making videos for Syntax. It's a hard balance. Solid versus Svelte. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's get into it and let's talk about it. Yeah, we got the Svelte ambassador of Halo in the chat. But if you look at, are the benchmarks in this? Or are they in this blog post? Are they in the docs? No, they're on the Solid site. Look at this. Solid is only 0.08% slower than vanilla JavaScript, and way ahead of Svelte and Vue. I don't know what this benchmark is, but I had no idea that Vue was faster than Svelte. That's actually crazy to me, because Vue does use a virtual DOM, but it also has compile time optimizations and fine-grained reactivity. I don't know. Vue is cool. Yeah, I think that's what I want this to turn into, Stony, who is mentioning basically Coding Garden can be where I do the research for my videos, and then I do the actual videos. And in a way, this might be just that. Like if I get enough done and learn enough here, I will very likely make a oh, you're right, it is Svelte 4. Yeah, Svelte 5 has a lot of optimizations. But if I learn enough here, I very likely might make a video over on the syntax channel just talking about Solid version 1. And Itrine says, your MacBook setup video was amazing. Do you think it's worth upgrading from Intel to M-series MacBooks? It's completely up to you. I still have, this is the last question I'll ask before we get into Solid, but I still have a 2015 MacBook Pro that can technically run all of the latest. Oh, is it the latest? Let me, there's a specific comment I made, not that, on the MacBook setup video. Let me show it to you, because there's a few things to take into account when deciding if you're going to use an old MacBook. But I will show you the comment because it has all the links on it, if I can find it. There's a lot of comments on this video. Whoa, there's a lot. Okay. I'll find it though. Some questions I need to answer too. I feel like this was an earlier comment too. But basically, every version of macOS that gets released has roughly 3 years of support and security updates. So that's the main thing to consider when you're using an older Mac, is you want to make sure that you can still get a version of macOS that has security updates. And they have specifically supported versions of that. But there is a project that makes it so that you can install the latest version of macOS on older MacBooks. And I want to show you that. The YouTube integration is broken, so those names aren't showing. Okay. Was it worth scrolling? I don't know. Now I'm invested. Now I have to find this comment. Yeah. Oh, I think it was an early comment because someone was like, because the MacBook that I was setting up in this video was technically an M1 MacBook from 2020. And someone was like, you can use an old MacBook like that? I was like, yes, you can. Honestly, I might just search for the links at this point. Oh, is Laravel 11? Is that out? The one that like gets rid of all the extra stuff in the folders and stuff? I'd be down to try that at some point. And Ahmed, good to see you. Welcome in. Scroll all the way down in Control F, but I don't even know what I'm going to be searching for is the thing. So much less bloat now? That's cool. I'll have to try it. Right now my scroll is, I made it all the way to the bottom. MacBook? MacBook? This is it. This is the comment. Okay, this is the one. I think, can I link to this comment? I thought there was a way to link to a comment. Oh well, I'll just walk through it. So, the question that I'm answering right now comes from Itrine, who says, do you think it's worth upgrading from Intel to M-series MacBooks? I will say it's completely up to your workload. Click the timestamp. I don't know. But like I said, I still have a 2015 MacBook Pro. I don't use it for everything, but it's kind of like my office computer. I use it for like printing stuff, and it just kind of sits there. It's almost like a desktop computer, but it still works for everything that I need it for. But one thing to consider is if you go to this site, endoflife.date, they talk about the versions of Mac OS and whether or not they're still getting security updates. Because 3 months ago, links to the comment. Ah, great. Thank you, Avi. There's the comment. Cool. So this is what to consider. Is the version of macOS that's supported on your specific device, is it still getting security updates? Because you don't want to be running a Mac machine with Big Sur, because security updates stopped in September of 2023. So if there were any exploits or security issues discovered in Big Sur, those are not going to be patched by Apple. And if you have a Mac device that only works with up to Big Sur, then you probably wouldn't want to keep using that. Unless you use this other project, which I'll show you, that I also linked to in this comment. Where did it go? Man, I think maybe my extension is... my extension messed it up. When does the solid thing start? Listen, I'm trying. It was supposed to start 3 minutes ago, but I wanted to just answer this question. I'll be done with this question in 2 minutes, and then we're gonna start the SolidStart stuff. Okay, so that's the thing to consider. Given the MacBook that you have, what's the latest version of the OS that is supported? And so my 2015 MacBook Pro, I believe, still can run Monterey, and so it's still getting security updates. But you'll notice that OSs get security updates for about 3 years, so I probably only have another like 6 months or so of security updates if I want to keep running Monterey on that computer. And so for any given MacBook, you can see the latest thing that they support. So Sonoma is the latest version of Mac OS. And if you go to this page, you can see which MacBooks and MacBook Pros will run on Sonoma. But you'll see that the 2015 MacBook Pro is not listed here. So it can't run Sonoma. Maybe it can run Ventura, though. Let's see. No, officially it can't either. But each one of these pages is going to show you which MacBooks they support. And then you can cross-reference here and see, okay, am I still getting security updates? The thing is, you can, however, use this project, which is called the Open Core Legacy Patcher. And this allows you to install the latest version of macOS, like Sonoma, on really old Apple hardware as well. What's up, Lakey? Welcome in. So if you check this out, you can see, like, let's say I want to run Sonoma. They work on like really old hardware. And so, yeah, it's just like a patch that you have to install, and then you're able to run the latest OS. So even if you have a MacBook that's not officially supported for Sonoma, you could use this project and install it on there. So to answer your question, if you have a MacBook with an Intel processor, and it still is fast enough and works for all the things that you need, that's fine. You don't necessarily need the M1. The M1 is really nice though. So I'm doing a lot of video editing, and I got a newer computer. It has the M3 Max or M3 Pro or something like that. And videos render so fast on that processor. Whereas if I try to render stuff like on my 2015 MacBook Pro, it's like super slow. So depending on the kind of work that you want to do, you may be able to get away with using like an older MacBook that still has an Intel processor. I'll link this project too. Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of benefits to the more modern architecture. Like battery life is amazing. A lot of the Mac specific apps are just like highly optimized to get really good battery life and run really well. But it does what it is. I think if it can support all the things that you want to do, it's not necessarily worth spending a few $1,000s just to get another one or like a newer one. But okay, that's enough chat about that. Thank you for your question. Let's get into SolidStart. So if you have not heard of SolidJS, this is a front-end framework that's been around for a few years now. But what is interesting about it is the syntax it uses is very similar to React.js. So you can see we have a little solid component here. They have these hook-like things like create signal. And in Solid, create signal is how we create some state. So if you're used to React, this is kind of like use state. And we have a state value and a setter for that state value. But what you'll notice is there is no use effect in here. We have actually like a set interval here. And if you were to write this same code inside of a React app, it would cause an infinite loop of sorts, because it would like re-render and then like set an interval and set an interval. I guess technically there is an on cleanup. So the cleanup could technically be a function in a use effect. I don't know. All this to say, on the surface, SolidJS looks very similar to React. It uses JSX. The way you render out stuff is very similar, but you'll notice whenever we're accessing state variables, we actually have to invoke them because they are a getter function. And so one of the things that SolidJS does is instead of having a render cycle with the virtual DOM like React, it has fine-grained reactivity with signals, so that if this state variable changes, this one div will be the only thing, and not even this one div, this one section right here that actually has the value of that state variable, that will be the only thing that updates whenever the update cycle runs. So it's extremely performant when you compare it to something that's like using the virtual DOM and like the render cycle of React. It gets rid of all that extra stuff and makes it so that only the places that are using state variables in your UI get updated. So it's performant in that way. And all of the rules of hooks and stuff like that you've gotten used to in React don't actually apply here. So what's cool about these signals are that they can be defined outside of a component and then just imported into this file or just used in any other component. You actually don't have to treat these like the special rules that you typically have with hooks in React, which is cool. And at the end of the day, the code that you ship to the browser is very, very small and minimal. So instead of having a runtime like React, the compiled solid code only has the things it needs to actually run the app itself, which is very similar to how Svelte does things. Because if you're familiar with Svelte, Svelte has a compiler where whatever Svelte code you write, at the end of the day, is all going to get compiled down and all the extra stuff gets stripped away, and there is no runtime. There's like no virtual DOM runtime or anything like that. It just gets converted into vanilla JavaScript. So that's the other cool thing about SolidJS. How does one manage state in Solid with these signals? I wonder if we can look at a more advanced example. Yeah, compilers. Yeah, and that's the big thing these days, right? So you saw at ReactConf, they announced the React compiler. They're definitely trying to stay relevant with things like SolidJS popping up. But this is how you do state inside of Solid. And again, I think the beautiful thing here is this code doesn't have to live inside of a component, right? Like this is, you could actually, technically, you could install SolidJS and just use the signals that are built into it. If you wanted to use them with other frameworks, you'd have to create some sort of thing to make sure that it ties into the update cycle or whatever else. But you can see here that we define 2 state variables, and then create effect is almost like it's like a watcher. So basically, if any of its dependencies change, this will rerun. So if set first ever gets called or set last ever gets called, this console log will rerun with the latest values. And you'll notice, if you're used to React, we don't have to have a dependency array here because this fine-grained reactivity automatically keeps track of all of its dependencies. And so Solid knows that this function here is dependent on first and last. And so if they ever change, it knows to rerun it. You don't have to manually specify those dependencies. Does it need state management libraries as well, or anything out of the box? I don't know. So I haven't built anything big with SolidJS. I've only just like played around with the basic stuffs here. But if you look at Awesome Solid, there's a GitHub repo with a bunch of stuff linked. And is this the one? Yeah, this is the one. They have a section on state management. And apparently someone has created a Zustand for Solid and nano stores for Solid, but I actually don't know if you need them. Maybe you do if you're working with a lot more data, but like I was saying, technically you could create a single file that has all of your signals defined inside of it, and then just import that file in any other component and then just use them. And that's your global state management solution. You don't have to add anything extra. But I would imagine in a more complex application, you might want a little more structure than that. So it's possible that some of these other libraries give you that. So yeah, this is, if you've ever used Zustand with React, this is that, but with signals for Solid instead. And I don't know. I don't know. Seems all right. But yeah. And then it has solid stores. Yeah. So, like I said, I've only scratched the surface of like basic SolidJS. And then beyond that, today, we're not even going to be looking at Solid alone. We're going to be looking at this thing called SolidStart. But this is, yeah, just a basic intro to SolidJS. Let's see if we can look at their stores. Using stores. So they have a built-in create store. You can type it, so you can say like my state is going to have all of these properties on it. And then that gives you access to the state and access to a function that can update it. Fascinating. So the API, so this is just built in, you, well, I guess maybe you have to install it as a separate library because it's solidjs/store. But the cool thing about this is it merges your state updates. Is that how React works with its set state? I guess it does. I guess it wait, or does it? No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. If you're using use state, the use state function does not merge things in when you pass it back in. The set state of old React, like in components, that technically did a merge, didn't it? I don't know. I'm confusing myself, but this is interesting to see that you can create a store. It can have a bunch of stuff on it, and then you don't have to have a bunch of little signals. Basically, your store is like one object with a bunch of properties on it that you can use throughout your app. So yeah, we have an array that is the store. And then I guess what they're showing us here is it used to be that you had to access the value off of an object, like called state. But now in the latest version of Solid, you can just reference it directly. Time is a flat circle. Everything did everything at some point. And Paolo is mentioning classes state was merged. Okay, I guess I'm remembering that right. It's a submodule, no need to install, but if you admit it, you have a smaller bundle size. That makes sense. So yeah, I was mentioning it is solid-js/store. You don't have to install it separately, but if you do include it, it's going to increase your bundle size a little bit. Fascinating. Okay, so this is SolidJS. Basically, it looks familiar if you're used to React, but the reactivity system and the ultimate code that gets generated is very, very different than how React works, and ultimately for the better, for like smaller bundle sizes, more performant applications. that kind of thing. So this is SolidJS. This would be like a one-to-one competitor to React or Vue or even Svelte. The thing we're talking about today is SolidStart, because version 1.0 was just released. So SolidStart has been out for a while. It's been in beta and in alpha and beta, and then release candidate, and finally 1.0 is ready to go. So what they're saying is you can start to trust to use this thing in production. I don't know how many things have actually been built with it and are in production just yet, but this is a signal from the library authors that they have reached a stable API, and you can trust that if you choose to use Solid to build an app, it's not going to break on you anytime soon, because it is version 1.0. So that's the exciting news about SolidStart. And SolidStart is a meta framework built on top of SolidJS. So you can see that it has lots of pieces here, but if you're familiar with Next.js, this is a meta framework built on top of React. And I guess most people using React these days are probably using something like Next.js. The other thing that's similar is Remix.js, which just got renamed to React Router. So I don't know if I guess their URL is going to change or redirect, but SolidStart can be compared to Next.js or Remix in the React world. Also, if you're in the Vue.js world, it's very similar to like Nuxt, or if you're in the Svelte world, it's very similar to SvelteKit, in that these are a framework on top of the underlying framework. And so that's what SolidStart is. But it definitely takes a different approach than some of these others, in that it's very modular. So there are pieces that you can choose, but I believe there are other things that you can swap in or swap out. Like, it doesn't try to do everything. It tries to do some things. But we're going to try it today. And I think we're just going to dive right in. So there was this blog post that came out from the SolidJS core team about 1.0 and its release. And it does have this file-based routing built in, but it says bring your own application router. So technically you can define your file system like this. The parentheses is very similar to in SvelteKit, how you can have like route groups where the routes don't actually use this, but you can use it to match for like rules and authorization. But when someone goes to a route, they're actually just going to go to users/ID. But the parentheses are like a group. And so yeah, it has file-based routing. But one of the interesting things is that even though you have file-based routing, you still have this little component that you mount somewhere in your application. So you import file routes, and that basically gives you all of the routes that you've defined on the file system, which is an approach I haven't seen before. Because like SvelteKit and Nuxt and Next, and I guess Remix does file-based routing too? No, it doesn't, because it can use, I think Remix can do either. But all that to say, it is interesting that you define it on the file system, but then you get this little component that actually gives you access to them. But I think like technically you could import another library to support routing and like nested routing and stuff like that on top of this file system router, which is an interesting concept. But let's start building. Let's get into it. Any other? Oh, I was missing a bunch of chats apparently. So what are the drawbacks? Probably the fact that it's newer, right? So like React has been around for a little over 10 years at this point, and so the ecosystem is very mature. I would argue that Next.js isn't as mature. So, and Drills, thank you for the tier 3 resub. Hello. So there's that. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest drawback is like it's new and it needs to be used more, and the community needs to grow more. Not to say that there isn't already one. I think just the simple, like looking at that awesome SolidJS repo that I just showed you. Solid has been around for a few years, and SolidStart has been worked on for a few years now. So there's a lot of stuff in the ecosystem. Like there's a lot of resources and various libraries, like UI component libraries that work with Solid, and like auth libraries and state management libraries. So it's happening. It's just way newer than like React, Vue, or Svelte. I think the fact that Solid looks like React is a pitfall. Signals are very different from the React model, and I think you can really catch you off guard if you try it without knowing it. Yeah, it is. It is interesting to note that like even this example on the homepage, if you're a React developer, this would look really weird to you because you're like, well, where's the use effect? Wouldn't this get called over and over again? But it doesn't have the same mental model of a render function that gets called on every render. That just doesn't happen. You have fine-grained reactivity. So I kind of agree with that. Like if a React developer comes along and doesn't actually decide to learn how this stuff really works, they could use all of their Reactisms and not get really potentially not get the benefits of Solid or have a hard time with it. I don't know. Let's build a to-do app and put it in production. I feel like people have already done that though. Yeah. I only had a little bit of exposure to Remix. We tried all the meta frameworks probably like a year and a half ago. We tried Next and Remixed and Nuxt and SvelteKit. Ultimately, we chose to use SvelteKit for the project we were working on, but I really liked what Remix had going on. Yeah, it's really fun to if you Google SolidStart because you will find baby food. It is it's baby food. But if you and I said Google, I mean search the web anywhere. But if you search for SolidStart all one word, their SEO has gotten enough to at least push it up on DuckDuckGo. I'm curious about what about Google. I'm on a VPN, so I have to tell it that I'm not a robot. Please try again. That one. That's all the buses. Please try again. That's a fire hydrant. 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 Nice. Yeah, cool. So they have Google SEO too. Cool. I never did build anything with Nux. Did you? And what's up, Ryan? Did I say hello to you already? Hello. Thanks for being here. We built like a basic app with Nux to try and analyze the ecosystem and like find an auth library and a component library and everything else. I haven't built anything legitimate with Nux yet. I definitely still want to do that. You've seen the use server directive. Yeah, this is what we need to try with SolidStart is server functions and server actions to see how it handles all of that stuff. I have not done a video on Astro. No. What's up, Samik? And I work at McDonald's. Good to see you. The problem is not using Reactisms and not have much benefit. Signals have a specific rules you need to be aware of that can induce really nasty bugs. Yes. I've run into these kinds of things in when I was trying to build stuff with Svelte. If you try to depend on like the automatic reactivity, I basically ran into the issues that they're trying to solve with version 5, where just like everything was reactive by default. And if you didn't know what you were doing, you could basically run into like infinite loops of dependencies. What's up, Ames Beckett? Good to see you. Yeah. The hooks dependency mental model is unique. Yeah. Okay, let's do it. Let's run this command with npm because I'm still using npm. So give me a second. Let me get all set up over here. I'm going to get my folders ready. I think I'll put this in the Try Day Friday repo. Yeah, we'll put it in the Try Day Friday repo. No bug fix video. What do you mean by that? Yeah, that's cool about Astro is their component file format. You can basically choose your front end framework and have multiple in the same app. Like I don't necessarily know why you would want to have multiple frameworks in the same app, but you can do that. All right, here we are. What's the difference between npm and pnpm? NPM is the OG, the original gangster. Is the first to the game. Originally, I think released right alongside Node.js. But then a little thing called Yarn came along, which was made by the Facebook team. And you typically saw Yarn a lot with React apps, but they installed stuff really fast and did a lot of like caching, and a lot of people were switching to Yarn because it was so fast and nice. And then NPM got all the features that Yarn had, and now those are baked into NPM, which you get when you install Node.js. And they've, at this point, Yarn and NPM in my mind are like mostly the same. Most of what you can do with Yarn, you can do with NPM. Bun is an alternative runtime and bundler for JavaScripts, and it came along and really wanted to change the game and make installs really, really fast. So that's another package manager. And then PNPM, I believe, was one of the first package managers to try and do caching and like make your package installs really, really fast. But if you, yeah, I have seen JSR. I haven't tried it, but if you check out PNPM, you use it the same way as you use NPM, but ultimately, it has a single location on your computer where it downloads versions of libraries. And if two different projects depend on the same one, it's actually just going to do I believe, a symlink. And then you only had to install it once. And so that makes installs really, really fast, if you have it cached locally already. But I just like to use NPM because most people, if you're going to be watching this video and following along, you probably already have NPM installed. So that's why I just use NPM. Right, here we go. Project name. Let's just say demo. Oh, like I want to peruse it. I want to see what happens when we generate an app. And what do we get? And we'll probably like play around with actions and stuff like that too. And then we'll pick something to build with it. So, is this a SolidStart project? Yes. I see that my terminal is flickering, so I'll try to get off this really quick. Which template would you like to use? Basic, Bear, Hacker News, Notes, To Do MVC, with auth, with MDX. This is a lot. I kind of just I want to look at an app and like mess around with it. So let's go with the Hacker News one. So because I'm guessing they've implemented various pages. We'll just see. We could generate another one if this doesn't have the stuff that we're looking for. We're gonna use TypeScript. Here we go. I mean, the templates did look pretty useful. Can I use solid with stimulus? I don't know what stimulus is. A modest JavaScript framework for the HTML you already have. Never heard of it. So probably not. All right, here we go. Install dependencies. So all of these are just for package downloading and caching. I don't understand why people make a big deal out of installation tools compared to libraries and frameworks. That is one feature of all of these. Yeah, so all of these have a package manager aspect to them. Bun is more than just a package manager because it's also a runtime and a bundler. Both NPM and Yarn also support mono repos, so they have this thing called workspaces, and then PNPM also supports mono repos and workspaces. So package installation is just one of the things that they do. They compete in other areas too. But yeah, people have opinions about everything. So like, even just a package manager, there are people like, oh, use Bun instead of NPM. I don't know. Like I said, I just use NPM because you get it when you install Node.js. All right, we installed dependencies. Let's start it up. Here we go. Look at that. We have ourselves a little Hacker News client. This will be fun. Let's open up the network tab and see what happens as we navigate. So yeah, it doesn't look like it's doing any sort of like infinite loading. It's doing some preloading. I didn't click that link. I just hovered over that link, and you can see that behind the scenes, it actually made a request, I'm guessing, for that page. It's like, what's that called when it predicts what I'm about to do? What's up, Bajosi? Good to see you. Prefetching, yeah, prefetching, yeah, it's a prefetch, yeah. So, but let's see it happen again. So, if we visit the page, it's going to download a bunch of stuffs, and I'm running the dev server right now. This is not a production build or anything, but it is interesting to see that as I just move my mouse over more, it has basically preloaded that. And so when I clicked the button, there were no more network requests that were made. It literally already had that data. So it's like loading is super fast. Yeah, optimistic, I think, is a good way to put it. Like, it's optimistically determining that it needs that data before. Like, I'm guessing it's going to do the same thing on all of these too. Fascinating. And then when I go to them, no network request needs to be even made. I'm sure you can tweak that. You can decide what you want to do there. A pre-flight request. Yeah, that sounds right. But Ryan is saying, if you're a student, you should absolutely use pnpm. Use npm in creating a node module folder for yeah, I think if you install a lot of stuff, you probably want something that does some caching. There have been 3 times in my life where I decided, all right, I'm going to try pnpm now, and I have run into a project where it didn't work. Like well, not that it didn't work. Specifically, the libraries that I were using expected there to be a node modules folder with all of my dependencies inside of it, and pnpm didn't work for that. Now, I know they have like a compatibility mode, but yeah, there's just been several times where that has happened. But I agree with that. Like, if you want to save some disk space, pnpm is definitely a way to do that. I think Bun does a similar style of caching as well. Sidekick, yeah, I would agree with that. It's a sidekick. It knows what I'm going to do before I do it, which is fascinating. Yeah. Pre-requests are good or not. It depends on your application, right? Like, so if you have users that are on slow connections and you're prefetching stuff that they're not going to need, you basically just wasted their network resources, right? So there's a fine line. I think for most modern apps, it makes a lot of sense to do. Okay, let's see. We can take a look at the comments. So that's fun. It's cool to see that the dev server is just requesting individual components. I'm guessing because it's using ESBuild and Vite under the hood. So it's like dynamically just loading that stuff as I navigate around. Fascinating. And then we have a user page too. Yeah, this is also fascinating to see. Once we've loaded both of these things, they're like completely cached at this point. So if I go to the user page, I guess technically it prefetched it there, but if I go there and then I go back and I go there, yeah, you see that it didn't have to make a request for the user page again. It's definitely like caching that in some way. Twitch Mobile has an ad banner. Fascinating. More like jumps to a conclusion and throws a fit. Yeah. It's a feature you may or may not want in your app. I'm sure there's a way to enable it or disable it. What does discuss do? Oh, okay, that just shows you the comments. And then you can click on the link to actually go to the library. Cool. So this is our app. Let's look at the code. Show me the code. Now, I am going to look at this stuff from the perspective of someone that has worked in SvelteKit applications. So I've done a lot of that. I have a little bit of experience with Next.js applications. Probably most of my meta framework experience is probably in SvelteKit. So at the top level here, there aren't a bunch of configs. I guess it is interesting to see that we didn't get an ESLint config or a prettier config with the SolidStart CLI. We potentially would have to set that up ourselves. It may depend on the template that we use. Like this example maybe just doesn't have it. In this case, there is no env because it doesn't have any secrets. I believe it's just reaching out to the Hacker News API, and it's a completely open API. Yeah, welcome, Jay in the Hod. I'm excited for you that you're doing some Java. Welcome to the world of programming. You don't even see some comments in the chat that appear on my screen. Oh, they're coming from YouTube. Anything with red is coming from YouTube, Drills. Anything missing a username is coming from YouTube. Yeah, but it looks like there's no env. The public folder has some assets. So we have like our icons and stuff. Twitch mobile is broken. Oh, I see. Cool. And then we have our source directory with some stuffs. We have our types defined here. I'm guessing these are just types from the API. This has nothing to do with Solid itself, but we've just defined the types that we're going to be getting back. Let's see. We have the server entry point and the client entry point. Fascinating. So for the server entry point, we're pulling in create handler. Start server is a component where we do all of our setup of our document and everything else. Fascinating. And then we have our client entry where we just tell it to start the client, mount it up on the app element. I'm guessing that this can probably run on the server for server-side rendering. Maybe. I don't know. I'll read the docs after this. I'm kind of just like showing you my first impressions of just looking at the codes itself. All right, and then we have app.tsx. And so was app brought into server? No. There is going to be some magic going on here. So SolidJS start server, it's bringing those two things in, and then the children get loaded in here, and then entry client just pulls in start client. So right now, I don't see any reference to app.tsx. So there's a possibility that this is the magic. This is like our entry point of sorts, and we potentially never have to touch the other two. This then gets into our routing. So we have our app component, and then our router, which comes from SolidJS. And we're telling it the root is our nav component. And then it has suspense. So suspense is a way of asynchronously loading a component, or asynchronously waiting for some thing, and then once that thing exists, actually render it out. So while we're waiting, it's going to say loading, and then finally, when it's ready to go, it's going to render out props.children there. And then we have our file routes, which we talked about earlier. So file routes basically just represents all of the stuff in this directory here. Okay. I'm just going to take a look at the components before we dive into the routes. So if we look at nav, I believe any React developer would know what's going on in this code here. Except we are importing an anchor tag from SolidJS router. And so this is probably going to give us, this is like the, what do you call it? The link component in Next.js, or even like in React router. So that way these links can do the right thing when it's working as a single page application. So instead of a plain old anchor tag for anything linking internally, we use the A tag. Here's something to find out. Are the routes typed? Let's see if we get some type completion right here. Is this my... Can't remember if I have like Codium enabled. Was it smart enough to know that that was the only route I haven't defined yet? No. I'm going to make sure that I don't have any other extra stuff running. I don't think I have Copilot running. They are not typed. Well, I want to see it for myself, but I believe you. I think that suggestion was coming from AI. Yeah, so we're not getting the types here. That's fine. I'm sure there's a way to do it. But I would have been really impressed if we got that by default, especially because this is an anchor component that comes from the library itself. And then because we have this file routes thing, I thought maybe there'd be a little bit of fun type stuff in there, but I guess not. Yeah, Codium is an AI coding tool. Yeah, it's I don't know. In my experience, I like it better than Copilot. And because they're friends of Syntax, I got early access to the GPT 4.0. So I like it. One of the cool things they do, actually, I don't even know what are the latest features in Copilot, but one of the nice things about Codium is it has context. So you can say when you're providing suggestions, you should be looking at these files or this folder. And so it gives better suggestions because it knows about more than just the file that you're working in. I think if you pay for Copilot, it probably can do stuff like that too. Yeah. Okay, so there's our routes. Nice to know that A tag exists. Can I show pricing? Sure. Free for individuals. If you work at a company, it's $12 per seat, up to 200 seats, and you get GPT-4 support. Yeah. Cool. Okay, we saw our A tag. Comments, story, and toggle. I don't think we saw any of these just yet, so let's dive into the routes. And we see that at the top level here, we have basically a params. So it's going to be homepage / something, and that's what loads that. So when we look here, it's homepage / nothing. So I'm guessing this component is going to say, like, if there is no param in the URL, then just load the main news page. So let's see. All right. We export a route with a load function. And get stories is calling the actual API. Params.stories. Yeah, so this is what gives us access to our params. And right now, since we have ... stories, when we're in the app, if we go to like /new, then that param will be new. If we go to /show, that param will be show. If we go to /ask, it'll be asked. If we go to /job, it'll be job. So that's how it determines what stories it's going to load for the page itself. This is very similar to SvelteKit in that we have a load function that's going to be used by the page itself. It is cool that we can define it in the same file, though. At first glance, I kind of like that because, like in SvelteKit, you're defining your load functions in your template or in like your component in two separate files. I don't know. At first glance, I like it. All right, then we have the component itself. We can grab location. Looks like the query gets parsed for us. That's cool. So for instance, if we go to like page 2, page 3, within the component itself, it's parsing all of that. Is this logging on the server? Let's see. Yeah, this is something you run into like in Vue.js because it uses proxies. And so when you try to log stuff, you get a bunch of random stuff in the console. It's not a render function. Oh, you're totally right, Super Gecko. This code isn't going to run over and over again. Yeah, I would need to put this into a use effect, probably. Yeah, you're completely right. This thing doesn't render over and over again. I specifically need code that reruns when this value changes. Is it use effect? Let's go to the solid docs. What was that thing? Create effect. That makes sense. We're not using it, we're creating it. Create effect from solid, pass it a little callback, and then within that callback, I'm going to log the query. There we go. So now this should keep track of this dependency and then relog it anytime it changes. Here we go. So we go to the next page, and then I guess it is logging on the server. Basically, I have no idea what I'm doing. We're gonna not do that for now. Doesn't seem like it's working. That's okay though. We have a page. Refresh. All right. Hard refresh. Okay, so that logged there. I guess here's the thing. I haven't even dived into the SolidStart docs at all yet. So I actually don't know. Does it have the idea of server components versus client components? And like, is this getting turned into client code? Maybe, oh, you know what it is? I guess query isn't changing, but page is changing? Yeah, I think that's it. That's another thing you don't think about. But the reference to the object doesn't change. The properties themselves change. Yeah. Okay, but you can see that we're logging it here. Cool. It's also interesting to see that we have this little create effect here, and does it run on the server? Let's see if I refresh the page here. Yeah, so the page log isn't running on the server, but it is running on the client. Yeah, fascinating. Okay. There's probably a way to do like effects that log on the server too. Oh, I guess that wouldn't make sense then, would it? You wouldn't want to have some like asynchronous callback in like a rendered server function. Yeah, create effect should only be on the client. Yeah. I guess I wouldn't call this a non-deep check, but here's the thing to consider. When the compiler looks at this code, it's like, all right, since it's a create effect, I need to rerun this if the reference to query ever changes. But the reference never changes. So it's not that it's not a deep checker. It's that query, the object itself, is always the same one. So that doesn't change. But what does change are the properties itself. Those change. The plus here is actually just a number parser. What's this? I probably would update the example to do that so it's a little more clear, because otherwise it looks like some weird extra syntax. Yeah, they're literally just doing a unary plus to turn it into a number. Okay, then we have the type. And we grab the story. So this is the other interesting thing, is that this is the stuff that's happening on the client side for like single page application routing, right? So stories is like I guess an async effect. I don't know if I'm using the right terminology there, but basically if its dependencies change, so if the type or the page itself change, then it's going to rerun get stories to give us back stories, which is fascinating. So if you'll look around, like as we navigate the app, if we go here, /new is the type, so this would rerun and grab that stuff. So let's actually just return it, and then we can log the type and the page when they change. We could even do something like this. Can I make this an async function? Let's see. Did I break it? It is interesting to see that create async runs on the server. So for the first server render right here, we can see that it ran on the server. But then if I go to the next page, here it's logging on the client and not on the server. So it's basically first render is server-side rendered. From here, it's a single page application that's just making those requests on the client, which is cool. Use callback. Are you saying is create async like use callback? I don't think so. No, I think this is purely like we have an asynchronous dependency, right? So or a function that will return a promise. And so basically, let's see where we haven't even looked at the render yet, but think about it like this. There's going to be some special code in our render function that is able to like wait on this promise to be able to render it out or something like that. It's gonna be like suspense or something. So let's see. So when stories exists and it has more in it, show the next page. Yeah. Even when you roll back to the previous type, it's still rendered on the client and cached. Let's see. So right now we can see the last thing logged here is like, I mean, let me add some logs on here. So we can see that this rendered on the server at, wait, is it 4 o'clock here already? Man. Maybe this will just be me browsing this code because I don't think I can be live for much longer. I want to be live for like another like 30, 45 minutes. So maybe I'll do a speed run, look through the code, and then try to build something with it real quick. Okay, so we see that logged at 6:17. And then if we go to the previous page, we can see this log on the client here, but we can see that the server did not. But if we go back to page 4, still the server hasn't done anything at all. So like it has no reason to do a server render. Everything is happening on the client here. Yeah, so show is a component built into Solid to do conditional rendering. So instead of using like ternaries like you see in React, show is it's like an if statement. So if the page is greater than 1, show this. Otherwise, show this. Yeah, so it's a nice little component that's built into SolidJS, so you don't have like ternaries and like conditional rendering all over the place. Yeah. Did I consider a collab with the Primogen? I don't think the Primogen knows who I am. So, I don't know what we would collab on. I haven't streamed in a lot. I feel like I'm out of the game. I don't stream often enough for anybody to even, I guess, want to stream with me. I don't know. Okay. What's up, Acid Spark? Good to see you. Thank you for the 49 months. I will say, first impressions, like I don't know how I feel about these accessors everywhere, right? Now, I guess you could say that this is explicitly telling us that, hey, we're accessing a signal here. And so if this signal value ever changes, everywhere it's accessed is going to need to re-render to look at that latest value. But it is a lot of access all over the place. I wonder is there like alternative syntax? Yeah, it's also interesting to note that these are literally just functions that use signals under the hood. So like, this is a signal, but because this function returns that signal, it's a signal in the render function too. Oh, and that's a good thing to point out, Paolo, who's saying you can't use ternaries because the code you return is never run again. So if you had a ternary, it's not a render function that like runs over and over again. So you need some way of defining code that can run again later on when the dependencies change. Yeah. Interesting. Okay. And then, so this is how we do for loops as well. So we don't have a map. We have a for where you pass in the list that you want to iterate over, and yeah, this is interesting to see though, because we have create async, but I guess it just handles everything under the hood, because we have our list of stories, but do we get like a loading function back from create async? Or would we potentially need to use like suspense here to show like a loading? Huh. Okay. Let's keep going though. So let's look at the story component. It gets access to a story. We then render it all out. Nothing special here, except we are using like that A tag, so we have like an internal link to go to the story, and then same thing to go to the user. Cool, nothing crazy. Where is toggle used? Derived state can just be a function, or you can use create memo for operations that are intensive and break the reactivity graph. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. This is derived state in our stories right here. Page is derived state and type is derived state, because params.stories and query.page are both signals. And so basically we have a function that returns them. So it's like it's derived based on those. Yeah, let's see. Where's toggle used? In the comments. Oh, yeah. To be able to comment, to be able to toggle a comment on and off. That's what that toggle component is for. So look at the comments. There has to be multiple comments. Like this. And then to be able to minimize and maximize. That's what that toggle component does. So set open is a signal. But how does the parent know? Oh, because the toggle component itself accepts the children, which is the any type. I guess technically children are probably like a list of comment component. Maybe it's hard to type that. I guess that would be inside of story. And then story has comments. Oh no, but that's a story is the thing in the list. When you go to a specific one like this is stories/ID. So this would be stories ID. So this page is the one that would list out the comments. It has a load function that gets the story. And then when we show the comments, we have the comment component. The comment component is going to bring in the toggle component. I see. And so toggle takes in children, and children is a loop here. Yeah, so that's one thing you'll have to get used to is you cannot destructure. I learned this in working with like modern view and the composition API. You cannot destructure from your refs and reactive values, or you lose the reactivity. Like you have to keep that wrapper on them. Yeah. I'm just curious why they made this the any type. Like, couldn't you do something like in React you have like children, like node children or something like that? Let's just look in the solid docs. I wanna type this. JSX element? JSX.element. Yeah. Why don't they have that in the template? Did I break it? Well, just like in React, children can be an array, like a list of elements. That seems to work. Yeah. Cool. Cool. All right. I guess at this point I want to do like a speed run. So what can I try and build in like 30 minutes or so? Is the type an array? So JSX element can be, so it can be a JSX array element, it can be a string, it can be a note, like an element itself. Basically anything that you can render in JSX in between the curly braces, that's what JSX element can be. Yeah. That might make sense, Valk. Like technically you could make a very narrowed specific type here and like say that children has to be like a 4 or something like that. I don't know. Do a random cat name selector. Is that what he built at ReactConf? Yeah. I want to call an API. So that's the one thing we haven't looked at though, is like the actual API code. So if you look at like the main route here, get stories is lib API, and that actually just calls the API. So yeah, this is like a reusable, and then we have get stories, which just makes a fetch, get story, get user. Yeah. All right, let's build an app. Let's do it. First thing we'll do is just generate the app. And then we'll pick an idea. I want to potentially find like an existing API, and then we'll just build something around that. Yeah, that Hacker News API is like freely hosted on, well, probably not free anymore, but they are hosting it on Heroku. Does that example have any server code? Yes, that's the interesting thing about these meta frameworks, is it kind of like mixes everything together. And I guess let's talk about that. So we don't explicitly have like a client and server folder. It all depends on when and where the code is running. So this code here can run on both the client and the server. So when we first render the page, we actually server render it and we hydrate it with that data. And this actually gets rendered on the server side. And this code gets run on the server side. But then from there, JavaScript kicks in on the client side. And then anytime you like click on next page or previous page, that is actually happening on the client. Yeah. Yeah, so fetch first appeared in web browsers, but now it's been standardized. So it exists in node.js, it exists in Bun, it exists in other places that JavaScript runs. So it's like a standardized way of making requests, and you can do it both in client code and server code. Yeah. So that, I mean, the way this code has been written, it's been written in a way where all of this code, for the most part, can be run on both client and server. Oh, this is something we didn't see. Cache. Is that built in? So SolidJS router has a built-in cache function. Fascinating. And I'm guessing it caches based on the params. So, wow, that's cool. That's cool. But if we built an app or wrote code that talks to a database, that would need to be server-specific code, and that code could not have been run on the client. I'm not really seeing anywhere that specifically limits it to being client code or server code. Yeah, like I don't see a use server. Does that exist in Solid? We'll have to look at the docs. But right now, everything is written in a way where it could be run on either the client or the server, because even these APIs, they support cores, so they can be called from either client or server. It's in API.ts. Did you see it? Oh, you're completely right. Yes. So it's possible that these APIs do not support cores. And so if you try to call them from the client without use server, then they would fail. Let's actually try that. Let's see a potential cores error. So in a way, we've basically built a little proxy here where it actually does have to call our server to call those APIs endpoints. Go for it, Paolo. And then Ames is saying stuff. See you later, Shark Turnip. Thank you for hanging out. Yeah, what's up, Ucha? Good to see you. What is the app for break tracking? Did someone share it? Exclamation mark break in the chat will give you a link to my break timer. What should I learn after JavaScript? More JavaScript. I don't know. It depends on what you want to do or what you want to build. Like, are you trying to find a job? Or are you trying to get better at programming? It really depends. Let's build listed with Solid. It's got to be something I can do in a fairly quickly. Okay, but just real quick, let's see what happens. So because we did not put use server, we got rid of the use server on all of these functions. This was server rendered, so it was able to load the data. But if we go to the next page, it made the request on the client. But you will see that it makes the request to the full URL. Yeah, it's fully reaching out to Heroku here. Because we didn't put use server on there. But if we throw use server on there, now it makes the request through the server, which can cache it and also like add its own headers and everything else. And so now you'll see that the request doesn't go out to Heroku. It actually goes to our specific server, like localhost 3000, and then passes in a bunch of params and such. And also the response isn't purely JSON. It's SolidStartified. There's some interesting stuff going on here. What's up, Arkouldin? Build a trivia game with the Jeopardy API. Maybe. I think we'll have to spend like 5 minutes trying to find a free API. Paolo says, do you know something can I use, but for the server and JavaScript runtimes? I want to know if it's safe to use async local storage on the server. I don't know if it's still a thing, but there was the Kangax compatibility table. Yeah. Well, that URL doesn't work anymore. What about this? Is it loading? All the text is gone. Oh yeah, it's loading. It's trying. Oh yeah, good point, Lizard. That's something we haven't really explored at all. Like they talk about it in this article here. That the traditional way of doing it is multi-flight. Like you send a request to the server responds, client sends a request, server responds. But this is done through streaming, and I guess also with HTTP 2, it can send it all through the same request, which is also very cool. Oh, it finally loaded. Okay, so you can choose ES next. I guess I don't know where async local storage is. I think can I use list server runtimes? Paolo, what even is async local storage? What's async local storage in Node 14? It comes from async hooks. Is it a Node.js API or is it a JavaScript API? It's Node, but it's been pretty much standardized. Okay, if I had to guess, this site would list it. So You can check here. I just don't know where on the site it would be listed. That would make sense, Dyrene, because it is built on top of Nitro, and was it Nixie or Vixie? What was that thing called? Vinxie. It's built on top of Vinxie, which is built on top of Nitro. So if WebSockets are still experimental there, then I would imagine they would still be experimental in Solid as well. Did I hear about the developer who maintained over 7,000 tabs on Firefox for over 2 years until it crashed? I did not hear that. That's fascinating, though. All right. Let's go look at the free APIs. Do I just do the Poke API to make it easy? Yeah, let's do that. We're going to do the Poke API because I know that's like freely available. I don't need an API key. We can just list Pokemon and then we'll have like a Pokemon page. Do I have some? I can find some cards to open. It's been a while since I opened cards on stream. All right, let's do it. Let's just generate a new app, and I'm going to keep this code around, kind of like as a reference. This is one thing that I like to do is use an existing code base as a reference. Obviously, I'm going to look through the docs as well, but I'm also going to probably follow a lot of the patterns that I see in here in my own app, because that's just how I like to do things. No, I will read the docs. But I don't think I'm not going to read the docs from start to finish. Honestly, we should probably let's set a 5-minute timer. And just peruse the solid docs because we have not done that yet. Yeah, and so it supports all these rendering things, which we've seen. Okay. Getting started. We ran a different command earlier, didn't we? We did npm create solid. What's the difference between npm init? Npm create. No, I'm in. Yeah, I'm on the SolidStart tab. so I'm on the solid docs, but I am in the SolidStart section. So this should be it. Pokedex. Yeah, and so I think the CLI can do both regular solid projects and SolidStart. So we'll say yes for SolidStart. We're gonna do a basic TypeScript. Here we go. Install dependencies. Okay, I will admit this would have been faster if I would have used PNPM. Why is this taking longer than the app that was Hacker News? It probably had more dependencies, didn't it? Huh. Yeah, and Lake, he says, I need to start hammering away at web UIs for my projects, but every time I look at frameworks, I remember that the front end is silly and find something better to do. I mean, front end is a little silly. I don't know. There's just so much going on. I guess I haven't talked about this, but I also would preface all of this with, if you're a beginner, it probably doesn't make sense for you to learn SolidStart or like use SolidStart in a project. Right now, because it's early days, it makes a lot more sense for decision makers. So people that work at a company and can basically decide, okay, on this next project, we're going to use X technology versus Y technology. And you might be somebody that's like looking into this, so you might consider it, because it's early days. So there's not going to be any jobs for. I mean, there might be some, but there's not going to be a lot compared to places that are asking for like React or Next. So yeah. Okay, so this is our little hello world. Let's take a look at it. I'm curious if they set us up with a router by default. So if we look in the source directory, yep, we have a very similar setup. We've got start client, the entry point here. We've got our app, which has a few links in the head here. What is meta provider? Oh, it's a meta tag, I see. I built my first website for a friend's business with Next.js. Never used it before or TypeScript. I think that's fine because it is something that companies are hiring for. And there's a lot of examples out there and a lot of resources on it out there. Yeah. It's magic. That's my assumption, Trills, is app.tsx automatically gets picked up. Like if we rename it, I think it will break. I have two apps running. Let's kill that one. Kill that one. Meh. I mean, there's got to be some magic, right? I guess not. Like that's why I guess it is weird to me that there's magic because we have this server entry point. It takes the default export of app.tsx. Is that what it is? See you later, Stony. Thank you for hanging out. Have a good one. Appreciate you being here. What was I doing? I guess we're gonna rename this. And then tsconfig. Why does that break? Failed to resolve import start app from client start client. Yeah, it specifically has to be a file called app. It has to be. And that's the magic right there. And then I broke it enough that it rendered on top of itself. Okay. Then we have our routes. So our index route is our little hello world. Let's rip this out. And let's also just add Pico CSS so we get some default styles. I'm not going to worry about like running Tailwind or anything like that. So Pico is like Bootstrap, but you don't have to specify any classes. It's a classless CSS framework. So like you just add it to your page, and when your HTML looks like this, your page is going to look like that. So we're going to add that in the head here. So we're going to throw that style sheet there, and now we should get dark mode. Nice. I also don't want any links in the head. So in our app, I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, got a super basic app. Give it a title, Pokedex. Nice. We're on our way, and then let's just add a little hello world right here. Nice. There is some styles though. So there's some default styles that I'm just going to rip out. Nice. And trying to decide where would I put this. Like file routes is what gets rendered. I guess this also gets rendered props.children. Like if I want to add a class on the element that gets rendered, where would I put that? This is some fascinating data attributes here too. I don't think I can. I guess maybe I wrap this in a div. I just want to see what'll happen. I don't think it makes sense to wrap this in a div, but let's see if I do. Now we have the div that loads the element itself, which is the main tag. So if I wanted every page to have a main, like with class container, I could do this. Now we have main inside of main, but since I'm doing that, now my pages don't need a main. They just render their content directly. Is that the best way to do that? I guess I'm a little confused by the meta provider here. Let's look in their docs for like what that meta provider actually does. Because it's just weird to me that we have the children rendered in the meta provider. All of these will be added to the head. That's why it's weird in my mind to have suspense right there. Like, wouldn't it make sense to like put it right here? Does it still work? It still works. And then it would make sense to like wrap this in a main. I guess that's why I was confused. Like, why was the suspense inside of the meta provider? I don't know. Yeah, we've got all of those that we can define. Let's look. I guess suspense is a solid thing, not a SolidStart thing. Yeah, this is built into core. Is anybody following here? Like, I think it's a bit of a bug to put our suspense inside of the meta provider. Would you agree with that? That's just how the app came generated. I'm gonna kill it, restart it, and make sure it's all rendering in the right way. But to me, in my mind, it makes sense to, in my mind, it makes sense to put the main outside of the meta provider. Okay. Well, it's not documentation. It's the starter template has it like that. I'll just make I'll make a note. I'll make a PR if it is that way, and also I'll just open a discussion. It could also just be that suspense always renders in the body itself, so why not put it in the meta provider? It means that all solid meta components are added to the head. Huh. Huh. But if we look at create solid, I have no idea where the CLI is. So I'm not even going to worry about finding it right now, but we'll come back to that. Okay, so we are rendering out the children. We have our homepage here. I'm going to delete the about page. And then we have a 404 page, which is cool. This is something I don't think I saw in the other app, but I'm guessing you put any HTTP code here, and this will be the default thing that renders for it. And Sfarophoria, thank you for the raid. Welcome in. Wow, that's a big raid. Appreciate you. Wow. What were you working on? Is it Sfarophoria? A video editor, nice. With like web tech or what's it built with? Zig in Rust. Oh, very nice, very nice. Well, welcome in, Raiders. Good to see you. Yeah, I'll drop a follow. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. But today I am trying out and learning this thing called SolidStart. So I do a lot of web development over here on Coding Garden. And in the world of web development, this is a new meta framework. that just released version 1.0, so I'm giving it a try. And you're just in time because we've basically just set up the basic app here, and now we're going to build a little Pokedex. So we're going to call this Poke API and try to render it out here. But if you haven't heard of Solid, it is a front-end framework that looks on the surface very similar to React.js. There's going to be some TypeScript, definitely. But if you look at Solid and you know React, it looks like React, but it has fine-grained reactivity, so it uses signals, and the way it renders is very different than React. So React uses the virtual DOM. Solid actually gets compiled into vanilla JavaScript, and there is no like runtime once you're actually running this in the web browser. And it has fine-grained reactivity in that if you have state variables like this, wherever you use those, whenever they change, only those spots in the UI actually get re-rendered. Whereas with React, basically if any state or props in a parent component change, everything lower in the tree has to re-render. Yeah. That's the new front end out. I'm trying it tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I talked about this earlier. Like, if you're a beginner, it probably doesn't make sense to try it. Like, you probably want to spend your time learning the stuff that's been in the ecosystem for a longer time and that people are hiring for, like Next.js and like React itself. But it is fun to explore if you're interested in this kind of thing. So that's SolidJS, and then SolidStart is a meta framework built on top of it. So SolidStart is to SolidJS as Next.js is to React. Next.js is the meta framework built on top of React. But what we were just doing is we're examining the routes here. So it uses file-based routing, and it uses this param matching here. So because they have this, any not found route is going to get matched by this file and then render out like this. So on our page here, if we go to / something that does not exist, like this, we get an error. Meta provider should be in the tree. So this is the thing that I was questioning. I was like, suspense, does this need to be here? I guess it does. Yeah, so that's why we got that error. Okay. I didn't see this in the solid docs, and it just seemed really weird to me that this meta component that they provide has to have the children rendered inside it. Well, there is a little tag here that says that the docs are in beta. It's not that they're not clear. It's just I didn't see anything talking about it. So meta provider is here, but they don't. At least I didn't see why do we need suspense in the meta provider. Yeah, we did all this routing stuff. I don't know. I'm just gonna have to accept it so we can keep moving. But basically, this suspense thingy needs to exist within meta provider for the rest of the app to even be able to pick it up. And so I want to do something like this. And so now when we go to the not found page, this loads up, and I'm going to remove that disclaimer that says go visit SolidStart or solidjs.com. It'll just say page not found. You want the stuff inside the provider so you can use the solid meta components in your component. Oh, that makes total sense. Yeah, so if we're thinking of it like the context, I know it's not the context API, but if you're thinking of it like everything that gets rendered out in my app needs access to the stuff that it provides, it must be a child of that. That makes sense. I didn't see it anywhere in the docs, but that makes sense. It was just a weird name for me because the meta provider sounded like this is where all of my meta tags go. So it didn't, and like title would be a meta tag and link would be a meta tag. So it just didn't make sense for this to be a meta tag, but it's not. It needs the stuff, the meta stuff, not necessarily the meta. I think meta provider is not synonymous with like meta tags. It just has a similar name because meta means like the things that you need for the app. That makes sense. It could just be a little more clear in the docs. I agree with that. Okay. So now not found loads this. That's great. And then we have our home page. Sweet. Let's look at the Poke API and figure out what we're going to do with this. Because I think I want to be able to search for a Pokemon. So is there a list of Pokemon if I go here? See you later, Avi. Thank you for hanging out. Oh, there is. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. On the home page, I want to have a search box where you can type in a Pokemon name and we'll filter from this specific list here. Yeah, the main issue is like this gives you the links to the individual Pokemon, but then if you want, for instance, Pikachu, it would be Pokemon/25. And then this gives us the info for Pikachu, including the sprites. So you can actually get a Pikachu image and render it out. I guess technically we could just use this URL here. And on the homepage, paginate. Let's do that. I like that idea. The homepage paginates all the Pokemon, and then you click on them and you go to their page. That's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. I like that. Okay, so in our app, we're going to have a lib folder. And we'll have a file called the Poke API. And it will have a function that says get Pokemon. And we're going to take in the start and count. But we'll default the count to like 25 per page. Is that how that works? And then we need to call this API. So we're going to say fetch this endpoint. And we will say use server inside of here. So basically, we're going to proxy all requests through our solid server here. So we'll say use server. I'm going to grab this. Now, I kind of want to cache this. If you provide a default value, you're completely right. Basically, because I did that, I don't have to put that. Yeah. All right, let's look at the response here. Oh, the API is itself paginated. So it has offset. And it gives us 20 per page by default. Sweet. Sweet. We're just going to pass in offset. And then that defaults to 0. And we'll pass that in here. Okay. So we call the API. We want to do that caching thing, so I'll look in the docs to make sure that I got that right. But we will say this is going to be that.json, and we want to return json.results, which is the list of Pokemons. And we'll go ahead and grab the type of this. So we view it raw. Copy it. I have a little extension installed called paste JSON as code, but we're going to do paste JSON as types. We're going to call this the Pokemon response, and then it generated that type for us. So gives us count, next, previous, and then results. And each result has a name and a URL. So I could say that this is a Pokemon response. And then results is now typed as a result array. What's up, America 2050? Good to see you. Oh yeah, we could specifically go to the docs for Pokemon. Oh, it's all on one page. Yeah, it gives the next URL, but I don't know how we would. I guess we would use that on the client. I think the client just wants to be able to pass in what the offset is. Okay, I'm gonna look at our code from earlier. Well, not our code, the code that was generated for us, because I want to see how they did this. So they use this cache function, and cache is built into the router. It's fascinating to me that they're like manually parsing the text. Yeah, I think that this is just like extra to make sure that their requests to the API are good. I don't think I need to do this. I think I can use cache directly. So we pull in cache from solid router, and then I guess we will have to type it, but we can say like so. Export const get Pokemon is cache like this. That gets an async function, and then we give it a name. So we're going to call this just Pokemon. Yeah, the cache key. Cool. And then does this get typed by default? Does it infer the type? Yeah, so it's a promise result array. Cool. So they are putting, I guess it makes sense for them to put the types on here because they're just doing like the any type here of JSON.parse. But in our case, we're already typing the response here. So it says that it returns a result array. Okay. So we have ourselves a little function that can get all of the Pokemon based on an offset. Beautiful. Now, on our home page, we want to do a similar thing where we have a load function that gets the Pokemon with the given offset. So here we go. In our index route, we're going to have a load. We're going to say get Pokemon. And then we need to say params, well, not params, probably query dot offset. Or 0. And I'm going to do this just to be clear. Okay, we need multiple things. We need to pull in route definition from solid router. We need to pull in get Pokemon from our lib. And we just use the query param. Sweet. And then props. Does props get access? Is it like props.data? Where? Void is the return type. I don't think it's necessary though, right? It's not, right? Yeah, I don't know why they have that. Doesn't the offset need to be part of the cache ID to invalidate? I don't, sorry for the noise. I don't think so, because if you look in their example, the cache key is the default name, but then the functions have params. So like, yeah, page number gets passed in here, but the cache key is the overall thing of what it is. So my guess is that the built-in cache function uses both. So it uses this cache key, but on top of that, it's also going to use the arguments that are passed into the function to make sure it's cached right. Cool. Okay, so I just need to know, how do we get access to that data inside of props? The The route.load is only for prefetching, caching, and single flight mutations. Your actual data loading happens through create async. Oh. So that's weird because if we look at how this code's looked without all my logs in it, before this was just this. And so what you're saying is create async, I guess like the default return value of create async will be what the load function returns. Yes. Fascinating. I want to read the docs on this because this is a little hard to take in, because right here we are technically calling the get stories function from the lib API folder. But what is happening is on first render, on first server render, this is running on the server side and available on the stories variable because of create async. Oof, so to me it's not it doesn't, there isn't a clear link between create async and the load function, unless that's the actual definition of create async, is create async by default returns the load function. Like what if I say like the Pokemon are create async? Does it default, or it has to return the same thing when we invoke it? Yeah, I'm not hung up on the arrow function part, because to me it makes sense to give it a function reference so that it can call it later on when it needs to. An argument for function, I mean, at this point we now duplicates the codes. Well, not quite duplicated, but here we would say do we get access to location? Props.location. And then props are the route section props. And then Pokemon is a list of result. Okay, I'm gonna render it out here, but I still don't trust it. I want to understand the load function and create async, because that is very weird to me. I'm just gonna render out our Pokemon here. I guess it's trying to stringify undefined, maybe. Wait. So here's the difference here. They created a getter for this value, and I think you have to do that. Otherwise, it doesn't know that it needs to rerun it. It should, because offset, I think, is a signal. Okay, no errors. Nothing's happening. What's going on? What did I do wrong? Oh, I need to access it, right? That's the issue. Yeah, that's it. That's gonna take some getting used to, right? But I am curious though, if I load this directly. I think this should work in the same way. I think it was just a helper because they were using offset in multiple places. So this is the getter, and I have to invoke it to get access to it. Yeah, and if we do this, we can format it. Yeah, look at that. Got ourselves some Pokemon. Now we need a button which increases the offset by 1, which actually makes sense to have that getter function, because now we have a button that will use the value of offset, add 1 to it, and then pass it in. Yeah, I was just curious right now. Why is Get Pokemon not complaining about missing an argument? But that's because we set offset to be 0 by default. Cool. So this loads that. All right. Before we make a button that goes to the next page of Pokemon, let's read about data loading, because I really want to understand this load function and such. Okay. Solid provides a way to load data from your data sources using the create resource primitive. Fascinating. We have not used create resource. We are in the SolidStart docs too, though. Using some of the features of Solid Router, we can cache our data. So this is what we're doing. We use that cache function. We're calling fetch. Yeah, so this is what I want to understand, how these two link together. And yeah, it's just not a clear, there's not a clear link in my mind. Oh, okay. Honestly, the syntax of this kind of helps, right? So load is a function which returns something, right? So load is going to get called, and whenever load returns, that's the thing, and no semicolon there. Cool. The other syntax initially was confusing to me because I mean, I was wrong in this assumption, but I was thinking that like load is an object and get Pokemon is a property on that object, but it's not, right? So, I mean, even in looking at it like this is a function body that actually calls the function get Pokemon. But it's not, the thing is, it's not returning it. There's no return value. There's no return yeah, I'm not returning it. That's why it's weird to me as well, because this load function actually doesn't return anything. It just calls the get Pokemon function. But maybe that's the mental model shift, because it's like, it's not that it's returning it, it's that it's calling it on the server. So when we call it later, it's able to call that on the server, I guess. I don't know. If you comment out the route thing, it will say, yeah, I imagined enough that, yes, this is going to be able to, but is it going to server render it? I think that's the main difference, right? Is, will our Pokemons be server rendered without the route function? I don't know why that create effect got loaded in from such a weird spot. Okay. Yeah, without the load function, it is not server rendered. It's only loaded on the client. Now, technically, it's still loading the data on the server because of our use server directive. So, get Pokemon, the function we defined over here, is being run on the server, but not on the initial load. It technically renders it to the client, and the client calls get Pokemon. Sorry. So this calls it on the server, then but this is the thing though. So if I put this codes here, earlier my thought was this is actually what causes it to get server rendered. Is it not? What do we got to do to make this server rendered? I guess that's also what I'm missing here. Because this is only running on the client. Yeah, so this data loading always happens on the server. Oh, it's streaming by default. Okay, so because our server still is waiting for the response from the API, it's not waiting for it to resolve before it renders the page. I get it. So defer stream means like don't wait for it to resolve. There's some options here. Hmm. It's not it's not running on the server. I guess it'll be interesting to look at the network tab though. I guess is this considered XHR though? Maybe we need to add the next button to see it happen more, but I don't know. Let's just accept that it's working in an optimal way. The load function is called once per route, which is the first time the user comes to that route. Following that, the fine-grained resources that remain alive synchronize with that state or URL change to refetch the data when needed. If the data needs a refresh, the refetch function returned in the create resource can be used. Yeah, we're not using create resource though. Before the route is rendered, the load function is called. It does not share the same context as the route. The context tree that is exposed to the load function is anything above the page component. On both the server and the client, the load function is called. The resources can avoid refetching if they serialize their data in the server render. The server render will only wait for the resources to fetch and serialize if the resource signals are accessed under a suspense boundary. I'm seasoned in Next and very confused by SolidStart. I think the confusion potentially comes from magic. Like there's magic here that we don't understand and I want to understand. But I think I can suspend my disbelief and say that because we have streaming happening, like that's like with Next.js, I think by default it doesn't stream. So by default, it's going to wait for all of that data to load on the server side and then just server render it. But that's not optimal, right? Like technically we can send something to the client and then after that respond with the data that was being requested on the server, which you can do with SvelteKit if you use what is it called? Streamed? Like in SvelteKit, the load function, you return a streamed property. I think that's it. It's something like that. You return streamed, and then you can access it in the client, but the client component sees that as a promise that can later be resolved, but technically the server responds with that data later. I don't like it. I mean, okay, what if we don't call the API? What if we just return an empty array? Will that server render it? Empty array. A game engine that, well, I mean, we're not making games today, but there are game engines that use JavaScript. Common.route.load, add back the defer stream, add a sleep of 2 seconds. It will SSR. Okay. So basically we have to work really hard to make it not as performant as Next.js is by default. So honestly, it's kind of it's a diss to Next.js because Next.js doesn't have this default behavior. So what we're saying is we want to defer the stream. True. We're not going to do route load. I just want to see the logs in my terminal. I think it's the main thing. Is like, to me, I would feel like it's SSRing if we see the logs over here. But what you're saying is if we add a sleep. Well, I know that this is going to run on the server, right? So I know that because it has use server, this code is going to run on the server. I guess that's not really what I really even want to see. What I want to see is the fact that this is getting rendered on the server, right? So I have this effect here. Oh, I guess create effect is client only. How do I write code in my component that will run or log on the server? Oh, I guess this undefined. No, this is SolidStart. Network error when attempting to fetch the resource. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now it's actually it's doing that on the server. Let's call the actual API now. Oh, no worries, Light. No, I mean, this is my first time using it too. That's the whole point of this stream is I'm exploring it. I'm trying to learn it, see what it's all about. What we're learning is that it's too smart for us. It's like we're used to how dumb Next.js is, but this is doing a lot of extra stuff that Next.js doesn't do by default. Okay, I think this was multifold. I forgot that create effect only runs on the client. I forgot that this is only going to ever run on the client anyways. Yeah, so the example here is that I have to explicitly stop Solid from optimizing the return of the data. So because this API is potentially a little bit slow, and also if it's not loading from the cache, this API request here that is always going to run on the server because of use server, this is always going to take some time, maybe like a second or 2 seconds. And if you were to do this same type of code in Next.js without any optimizations at all, like let's say you just had like a little, with Next.js server components, you literally would just say something like Pokemon equals await. Oh God, we'll get there. Get Pokemon. So in Next.js, modern Next.js, you might do something like this. You might have this, and then you render it out. But Next.js will not return the full response of the page until this promise has resolved, unless you use something like suspense, or like you kind of have to like opt in to. You have to like manually figure out a way of doing it. My microphone is just in the way of my keyboard. I have to keep looking around. So that's what I'm saying is like by default, without reaching for suspense or something else, Next.js will not return the response of that page until this promise has resolved. With Solid, this create async function, which is basically what we need to do to be able to use this async stuff, will stream the response by default. So you can do streaming with Next.js, but it's more not the default, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know. Well, this we are forcing it to not stream it. If we turn this off, let's kill everything, kill our logs. Streaming, it doesn't use WebSockets. I think you can just do this over HTTP 2.0. But streaming is, it returns the initial response to the web browser, which has like the skeleton, like the base layout and everything else. And then there will be JavaScript code running that's waiting for the next response that has the actual data in it that will then add it to the page. Is that right? We got some smart people in the chat. Am I saying the right thing? Okay, so we see the data logged here. It is still logging on the server. And then if we add this route thingy back in, yeah, so this ran on, so it was undefined, and then it ran on the server, and then it ran on the client. If I'm making a web app that didn't use SSR SSG, what would I use? I would use Vite. Vite is the way to go these days. And Vite supports all the front-end framework, so just choose from there. Yeah. Is traditional downloading considered streaming? You can stream a download, but streaming is the idea of accepting the data as it comes in and potentially displaying that data as it comes in instead of waiting for all of the data to be transferred and then display it or render it or use it in some way. Yeah, using it before it has completely downloaded. But basically, this is what I can't wrap my mind around just yet. And even though we have these logs here and I'm like trying to debug it and trying to understand it, I still can't say that I actually understand what is happening here and when and why the code is running. And the main reason I'm saying that is because I guess it is technically loading on the server. So if we look at I got rid of the log, but it logged here, which means that data was resolved on the server, I guess before render. But then we also saw it log on the client. And I guess this is potentially the streamed data. It is wrapped in a cache. Yeah. So we got that from the Hacker News example. We're caching it there. But I'm just going to have to accept that I don't understand it, and I'll need to work with it a little more to be able to understand it. And also to even make a video about it. I'll need to understand it better. Okay, but now what I want is I want a little button that will take us to the next page of results, because right now we only get the first 20 Pokemon. I want to get the next 20 Pokemon. So let's do that. I am going to have a button right here. Let's throw a main, have our data. And we'll have a little div with a button. Actually, yeah, it'll be an anchor tag. We want the capital A anchor tag. And we want to go to a specific query param. Like this, we'll say offset equals. We want to take the current offset value and add 20 to it. So this says go to the next page. See what we get. All right, I got a little next link. Capital A tag, yeah. So this is built into SolidStart, and it basically it's like the link tag if you're used to like React Router or even link that is built in with Next.js. The A tag basically hooks into all of the available routes and allows you to do like SPA routing. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is interesting. I will say it is interesting, but I kind of like it because it is technically an anchor tag. I'm gonna give this a class of button though. This should style it with Pico, which is what I'm using here. I thought. Let's go look at the Pico docs. Components. Button. Oh, can I not have a link that's styled as a button with Pico? Roll. Nice. Good call. Okay. So I click this. It just works. That's amazing. It just works. So because the offset param is changing, our create async function is picking up that latest value. And is just refetching the API. If we look at the network request here, it's going to be calling our backend, and then our backend is calling the Poke API. Fascinating. Okay. Do I have another main tag? Yeah, you're completely right. This just needs to be like a div. Is it not really navigating? No, it's navigating. It's I guess what do you mean by not really? It's just very fast. Yeah, you can see the network request happening here, and then it's replacing the data. That's why I want to get a loading function thingy. I want to be able to show like we're loading the next page right now. I think for that I probably want to use what was it? Create resource maybe. I only tried Nuxt a while back, but there was a series of streams a while back where I tried all the meta frameworks at the time. And I liked it. It was just early days because it had Nuxt 3 had just been released. And so there's a lot of stuff that was still just for Nuxt 2, but it's been over a year since then. So I want to try it again because now most everything has been moved over to Nuxt version 3. Choosing a full stack framework. Yeah. So I basically built the same little app with SvelteKit, Nuxt, Remix, and Next. And then after all of that, I decided to build the thing I was going to build with SvelteKit. Yeah, we have a signal. I'll show you the code that basically is rerunning when those values change. So by default, create async creates a signal. You can see it's an accessor, so it's a signal accessor. And so if this changes, this little area right here is going to re-render, and like JSON.stringify is going to rerun right there. The other thing is create async is going to rerun and call get Pokemon if offset changes. And offset is dependent on location.query.offset. So this is a signal. And then we have a function that returns the access of that signal. I guess we're not doing that though. So it's not a signal, it's a proxy. I guess a proxy is a signal. This is weird, right? This is technically an accessor. Maybe it's because query is a a signal itself. Like query is the signal, and then it has properties on it. Or query is a store, maybe? We learned about stores earlier. I don't know. If we're navigating to a new page, we don't really need a signal or anything reactive, right? Well, that's the cool thing about this is right now when I click next, I'm just laughing at Jill's comment, but right now when I click next, this is a single page application client-side render, right? So I'm clicking this and it's loading all of this on the client. But if I go directly to this URL, it's going to load the page and then stream the data from the server. So that's why technically this is also a page load, and it can be either. And that's one of the benefits of using a meta framework like this is when someone goes directly to this page, it's going to do a lot of the work on the server and then also like stream some of the data to the client. But if you've already loaded the page as a client and now you're trying to request new data, first of all, it can like prefetch it like that, but then it can just use JavaScript to replace the contents of the page. Because at this point, that's what's happening as well is it's not a full page refresh. Now it is smart enough to only replace this little pre-tag right here. So watch, when I click next, you'll notice that the only thing that is actually changing on the page is the pre-tag. But if I do a full page refresh, that of course is going to have to load the whole thing. But that's the whole benefit of this is it's smart enough to figure out what to do. Okay, let's add a previous button as well. We're basically going to recreate the logic that was in the Hacker News one. Does this have a virtual DOM or does it interact with the actual DOM? It interacts with the actual DOM. So that's one of the cool things about Solid is when you build all of this code, it generates basically vanilla JavaScript. There's no runtime. And it's just the minimum amount of JavaScript needed to get this stuff running. There is no virtual DOM. There's no like thing constantly running in the background to keep the page updated and stuff like that. Okay, so we have our previous button, but we only want to show our previous button if the offset is greater than 0. So we'll use this show component built into SolidJS. And we'll say show this when the offset is greater than 0. I guess we do render it out like this. Okay, yeah, it's not self-close. We need the child render. So we're going back, all the way to... Oh. Okay, here. And then when the offset is 0, the previous button disappears. I guess we also want to know the total amount. Does that come back in the Poke API response? Yeah. When offset is 2, yeah, you're completely right. We're going to do a math.max. Yeah, you're completely right. This is going to be math.max of this value or 0. Yeah, so when the offset is like 5, if for whatever reason it is, previous just goes back to 0. Cool. Then again, we probably need to be doing some validation in our server side here because I could pass in the offset as banana. I guess then it defaults to 0. Are we getting any sort of like... No, it would be like nan, I think, because we're trying to parse it. Offset equals banana. I guess, but I'm not parsing it here. I think if I were to request this page, I don't know. We need to do data validation, but I'm not gonna. Really, all I want to do is I want to get the Pokemon displayed on the page, and then we'll have a single Pokemon page, and then I'll leave because it's dinner time, and I've been here for way too long. But this has been fun. We've kind of learned the basics. Um, I think I'm just gonna display the next button no matter what, and let's give this some styles. So this will be something interesting to see because I do believe that they have CSS modules built in by default. Use CSS in the component, define the CSS file, and then import it. And then for scoped styles, we can do .module. So let's just do that. Let's just say we have our, do we put it in routes? Where do we put it? We put it wherever we want. Let's try it. Let's say just index.module.css. Put it in components? I don't know. I want a, I guess probably these could have been global styles anyways, but let's just create a button container. And this is a display flex, justify content, space between. But it will need to be flex end when there's only one in there. But yeah, sure. Okay, so we have also, I think I have to name this with camel casing if I want to use CSS modules. And so in here, we're going to import styles from this. And then I should be able to do styles.button container. That works, but I don't get any type completion. Why not? That's a Vite issue or like my editor issue. That has nothing to do with it. I didn't deconstruct it. It's still just styles. Oh well. And then we'll also give it a margin of 1 rem. Cool. Yeah. But I need to change the style if the if there's only one button, single button container. And then I want to conditionally apply this style if offset is 0. Why not make the second button margin left auto? Has only child? I guess, yeah, I guess you're right. There's a lot of ways to go about this. Let's do it. I like has only child. Do I not have syntax highlighting? Has? Has. How does has work? I made a video on has on the syntax channel. So, if the button container has an only one child, is that enough? I need to do it outside. There's a cheat sheet for this. If you go to has.syntax.fm, I made this. I want to see. Not empty children. Yeah, I want. Does the button container has an only child? Would that be the way to go? Yes. I figured it out. Also, shout out to this website I made with, well, I mean, first of all, shout out to Wes Boss who came up with all of the examples. And then, yeah, so that's in that tweet. And then shout out to Scott and Wes who talked about these examples. And then I made this website that shows practical uses of all of those examples. That's the way. Okay. So we do this, it does that, we do this. Beautiful. Now, I want to grab the ID out of there and then just display the sprite instead. Yeah. I got a job there about 3 months ago, so I've been making videos for their YouTube channel. And then, I mean, if you go to that link, scroll all the way to the bottom. This is the video I made about the site that I made. That's all super meta. Here's what I'm going to do. Whenever we get back the Poke API response, each result is also going to have an ID, which is going to be a number. And we're just going to do for each of those. The Pokemon. Hey, what's up, Limotes? Welcome in. The ID is going to be URL parse. We're going to use a regex to grab that ID off of it. Ooh. Pokemon.url.match. The end, and then a slash, and then a slash, and then everything inside of there. And grab at one. Do I know? It is a pretty simple regex. Well, can I use optional here? And do this. And then if we found something, we'll set it. And then we'll properly type this to say that it can be undefined and it is a string. Great. Now let's see. Do we have the IDs? No, that was a bad regex. We did because I want to select on the end. That's why I put the $sign there. But we don't want it to be. I guess it's greedy. It found the first one, the whole first one. Honestly, we could just do this. We could just say Pokemon / that. That should grab the ID. Yeah, there we go. So we've got ID 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. Cool. From there, if we look at the Poke API docs for any given Pokemon, they have sprites. So we can say sprites dot front default is this with the ID on it. Cool. So what we can do is instead of showing the JSON, we're going to show a bunch of little images. And for that, we'll use the for component built into SolidJS. I need the ID so I can just throw the image in there using that ID. Is this how does the for work? For, I gotta look it up. Use the API with the name. It looks like the sprite needs the ID though. Otherwise, I would have to make a second request to their API, which I don't want to do. I just want to show the images on the page with their ID, if that makes sense. 4? Show me the 4. List rendering. Okay. For each. That makes sense. For each Pokemon. And then we get a callback which has access to the item as the first child. So here we get item, which should be a result. And we're just gonna throw a little image right here. And this should be item.id, but I need to make this a template string. And then do we get autocomplete for item.id? We do. Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Cool. So we see all the Pokemons. Let's give it a class and make them a little bit bigger. .300 pixels width. I forgot we have to camel case it. That's fun. Can't we do something like pixelate? There's something about rendering and pixelate. Image rendering, pixelated. So instead of trying to look, this should make it more crisp. There we go. See how crisp it is? Because it renders the individual pixels instead of like trying to blur between them. Awesome. All right. I'm at my time limit. I think if I stream again, like maybe like next week, we can keep working on this. But look at this. We got ourselves a little Pokedex. What we want to do next is we want to click on a Pokemon, load the Pokemon page, call the Poke API, show all of their stats. But we are well on our way. Let's also create like a little Pokemon container. I'll show their names too. So we're going to create Pokemons, which is a flexbox. And it will be flex wrap justify content center. And then each individual Pokemon. Yeah, we will add search. We'll build out a full Pokedex. I like that idea. And then a Pokemon will be a flexbox with justify content center, align item center. So now over here, this will be our Pokemons. And then our Pokemon will be a div with an image inside of it. So got that. This is going to be styles.pokemon. And then we will have the title here, which will be item.name. We need to flex column. Nice. Nice. Yeah, this could get real fun though, because we could also create like an image loader, like because it's downloading a bunch of images, you see like a flash of content, but we could show like a little spinner, and then yeah, unknown is the little, like there's multiple types of unknown, but they are it's like a weird shape Pokemon. What number is unknown? Wait, we're in like Gen 2 at this point. Unknown should be in Gen 1. This is why we need search. This is why we need to be able to search for the Pokemon. Also, we could show like 6 per page. It was top left. Oh well. Am I happy with this? It's all right. I don't know. I wish I could have gotten more done. I think I got so hung up on data loading, and I still don't understand it. I guess what I don't understand is why the load function. Like, what does this even give us? Because if I comment it out, things seem to run in the exact same way. I don't know. Solid is cool though. I would much prefer working in a code base that looks like this versus Next.js. That's already my takeaway. But there's more I need to learn. Cool. What now? Why? I have to describe this feeling that it was no, oh, it's number 201. That means it's Gen 2. I thought it was Gen 1. Maybe I'm remembering it from Pokemon Silver. There it is. You are completely right. For whatever reason, I thought it was Gen 1. I thought it was like in Pokemon Blue, but I guess not. Why? Why do I like it better? First of all, there's no use states, there's no use effects. I actually like looking at show and for instead of looking at ternaries and maps. It just feels like a better React. It does. Yeah. Cool. All right. Type 1 in chat if you want to see me open a pack of Pokemon cards. And then I'm going to get out of here after that. You don't need use state or use effect. What did you do with Next? Well, you would need that for like your client side components. I will say I haven't done a lot of big apps with Next.js. Like the last app I decided to build with Next.js, I was like, why did I even decide to do this? Because we were using like a map, like a literal map, like a on the web page map, and that by its nature is client rendered. Like it wouldn't make sense to, I mean, you could server render that for like certain scenarios, but it's very client interactive. And so I found myself just not getting the benefits of Next.js in that specific app. But I think in that scenario, it just wasn't an app that necessarily should have been written with Next.js. I don't know. Yeah, I will say the error, I mean, I guess I didn't really comment on it, but the error page that did pop up was pretty slick. All right, let me go find a pack of Pokemon cards, and then I'll get out of here because I gotta go hang out with my dog and my wife and eat some dinner. I'll open a pack. I'm more than happy to. Okay, I'll be right back. Where's my BRB? There. Be right back. I don't know if I should open this or not. I have an extra one of these. I need to look up how much it's worth. Because it may not make any sense at all to open this up. So just give me a second. I got to do my research. This is worth like $70. How many packs does it have? 6 packs. It's not worth it to open this. Let me find something else. I'll also change my category. I have Pokemon 151 Elite Trainer Box Pokemon Center exclusive. So 151 is a set that came out, I guess, sometime last year, and it has all of the original 151 Pokemon in it, but it is a reprint. I mean, they are reprints; they're not the original cards. So this will be fun. So if you if you at least followed Pokemon back in the early 90s, or sorry, late 90s, early 2000s, you'll know all of these Pokemon. Yeah, so that, like I've opened newer sets on stream before, but you get all these Pokemon that no one's ever heard of because they're the more recent generations. You completed it? I have not completed it, and I've opened a lot. I need to just buy the individual cards, um, because the pull rates are not amazing. But I'll show you the little booklet here. The art's really cool, though. It definitely feels nostalgic. You can see these are all the possibilities. When's the last time I counted my cards? Oh, I haven't done that. I have probably too many to count, but I have a few complete sets. What's this? The ones that we really want, though, are the, I don't know if they call it trainer gallery, but check these out. So yeah, these, like, you see that Bulbasaur and that Ivysaur with that really cool art, and there's also the Charmander and Charmeleon and Squirtle and Wartortle and Caterpie and Pikachu, and there's not special art for all of the Pokemon, but the ones that do have it is super cool. And then yeah, and then there's special art for the big three: Venusaur, Charizard, and Blastoise. I have two of these Charizards I've pulled. But if we were to get any of these, or sorry, any of these, that would be amazing. I don't think I have the Alakazam. That would be really cool to get. 1,000, too many to count. So let's put it like this. In the world of opening Pokemon cards, there's this idea of bulk, and I'll show you bulk in what we're opening. But yeah, these are called full art trainer cards. So you can see there's Erica's Invitation, Daisy's Help, Bill's Transfer. Those are trainer cards, but those are the full art version. You can see just the regular version here. So like these are the not rare ones. Yeah, I got super lucky with the Zards. There was just an ETB sitting at Walmart of 151, and I was like, should I get it? It was the last one on the shelf. It had a Charizard in it. But this thing that I'm opening right now is exclusive to Pokemon Center. And wait, oh yeah. So you can see in the bottom left here, it has that Pokemon Center stamp. This specific box is somewhat rare because they only sold a limited amount on the Pokemon Center. But you get this promo card with it. And oh, you get two promo cards. So you get the one that doesn't have the Pokemon Center stamp, and then the one that does have the Pokemon Center stamp. But we can look up really quick even how much that promo card is worth, because I think it's actually pretty good because that box is so rare, or this box is so rare. So if we look up Snorlax, SVP051. Pokemon Center exclusive. What's up, YY Dollars? No way. There's no way. This is an $80 promo card? That's ridiculous. Holy crap. Okay, no, I mean, that's, you can look at recent sales. Near mint, 30, 40. No, someone just paid way too much. This is probably more like a $30, $40 card. So basically the way that you price Pokemon cards is by looking at sales, so you can see who's bought what. And so if we look at the latest sales for this card, so in-M is near mint. Well, I'm blurry. Why am I so blurry? There we go. Near mint mean like pack fresh. So the fact that it's like still in the plastic and this is near mint, you can see that it's sold for $34, $40, $35. I don't know who's paying $80 for this card. This is more like let's call it $40. But yeah, for a promo card, that's crazy. And I think the reason that this promo card is worth so much is because it was exclusive to this box. If you look at the one that doesn't have the Pokemon Center stamp on it, yeah, this is 20 cents. This is what we're looking at here. So this one that, because it doesn't have the stamp on it, $1, $1 maybe. So yeah, that is a really good price. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna open these cards until I get something really rare. So this box comes with, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It comes with 11 packs. So we're gonna just keep opening until we get something really rare. And I'll define what really rare is. If we get it in the first pack, we'll be done. So every pack comes with a code card you can use in the online game. So I play the online game. Yeah, so the most, I'll show you, the modern packs have a single card trick. But this gives you a code, you can redeem it in the online game, and you get a digital pack that you can open up. But the card trick for this one is just 1 to the front. All of the Scarlet and Violet expansion is just, ooh, we got a shiny energy. That's the other cool thing about this set, is it has shiny energy. And Scarlet and Violet now has silver borders like the Japanese cards instead of yellow borders. So that's fun. But yeah, we got a shiny energy. And then we've got a Slowpoke, a Growlithe, Geodude, Jigglypuff, Lapras, Cycling Road, Scyther, reverse holographic Oddish. So the Scarlet and Violet packs all typically have 2 reverse holo slots. Yep, and then there's a reverse holo Charmeleon. And for the rare, a Gyarados. Yeah, I love the art of this set. Yeah, we opened it really quick, but let's just talk about our favorites. So first of all, shiny energy, that's awesome. Oh, and it has a little galaxy swirl right there, which is sick. Slowpoke chilling in the water. This just feels like the cartoon art. It's very classic. Geodude as well. I love how it's drawn there and it's nighttime. Jigglypuff. I mean, we're just looking at the same pack again, but I do agree. All of the art is really great. Yeah, cool. All right, we keep going because we didn't get a super rare card. Geodude is Golem's cousin. He's made out of rock. I don't know. It kind of looks like it. Water energy. Porygon. Porygon's my second favorite Pokemon behind Gyarados. Electabuzz. Rhyhorn. Tangela. Dragonair. Seadra. Kabuto. Snorlax, reverse hollow Snorlax. I guess it is interesting to see that, like, technically this is the same card as this one, but one of them is promo. But you can see it has the exact same ability and move. Okay. Reverse hollow Diglett. For the rare, a Dodrio. I guess I'll just be blurry. That's okay. But this is what I mean by the pull rates aren't amazing. I mean, this is our third pack and we haven't really gotten a rare card just yet, but here's for hoping. All right, we've got Fighting Energy, Staryu, Charmander, Spearow, Rhyhorn, Charmeleon, Parasect, Giovanni's Charisma, Reverse Hollow Weepinbell, Reverse Hollow Venonat, and a Flareon. I bought so many packs, then just bought singles to finish it out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy singles to finish it out. There's actually still a bunch of reverse hollow rares or reverse hollows that I still need. Well, I'll show you my binder after this too. You can see what I have and what I'm missing. All right, here's for pack number 4. Cool. I got a graded fossil set one from when it came out in the late 90s. Nice. Nice. Ooh, shiny electric energy or lightning energy. There's a coughing. Psyduck. Ekans, which is a snake backwards. We've got Cubone, Gloom, Clefable, Dugtrio, Reverse Hollow Jolteon, Reverse Hollow Rattata, and for the rare, a Beedrill. Pack number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, pack number 5. I'm gonna keep going. The fact that we're halfway through without even like an ultra rare hit is very unfortunate. Yeah, so in the latest sets, there's always two reverse hollows in the pack, and specifically for 151, you always have at least a rare holographic card. There are no rare non-holographic cards in this set. All right, Connery, let's hope. Let's hope. Because it might be that the promo card is the most expensive thing we get in this entire thing, which is crazy. All right. Magikarp. Third favorite Pokemon is Magikarp. Got Oddish. I gotta work on this focus. Mankey. Meowth. Cloyster. Grabber. Kingler. I think this is it. If it's going to be anything, it's not. Reverse Farfetch. So if we were to get one of the really cool looking art ones, I don't know. They used to be called Trainer Gallery. I don't know what it's called anymore. it would be in this slot. So we didn't get anything there. There's a reverse Psyduck. And then for the rare, a Raichu. And I'll show you what I mean. So, for instance, like this. This Venusaur here. This Venusaur EX is an ultra rare, and it would be in the very last slot in the pack. Yeah, that would be in the very last slot, or like that Charizard EX would be in the very last slot. Those are our examples of our ultra rares. But if we were to get, and then also these alternate art would be in that very last slot. But any of these cool fancy fancy arts, those would be in the first reverse hollow slot if we were going to get one. And then I'm not completely sure, but I think the gold cards, like you could get like this gold Mew or gold Switch or gold Energy. I think that's in the last slot in the pack. But so far we are very unlucky. This is pack number 6. Yeah, well, here we go. All right. Fire Energy. Vulpix. Magnemite. Caterpie. Ebui. Haunter. This art is awesome. Check that out. Hitmonlee. Wartortle. Yeah, there's a video where they show how they make the packs. Basically, they have different machines running different kinds of prints, and so all of the art cards would have been printed on the same printer, and then those are inserted into the pack in the right spot. Reverse Arcanine. Reverse Execute. And for the rare, Ninetales EX. Not bad. Not bad. This probably is only worth about $1. And I think I have like 5 of these. But at least we got one ultra rare. Yeah, it's don't get me wrong, it's a very cool card, but it's not worth very much money. It looks sick though. And to me, that's not rare enough, so we're gonna keep opening. I want an art card, or at least an art card, or maybe even an alternate art ultra rare would be cool, or a card that I don't have in my collection yet. Like I still need Wigglytuff EX, and I think I still need Jinx EX. So they're not very valuable, but I still need them for my binder. All right. Yeah. I'm gonna turn autofocus off. Okay. Execute. Clefairy. Match up. Porygon. Energy sticker. Rhydon. Executor. Really cool art on that one. Reverse Bulbasaur. Reverse Nidorina. And for the rare, a Mewtwo. Nice. This is ridiculous. There's only 4 packs left. And we got a single ultra rare. Oof. Oof. This is why opening Pokemon cards it's gambling. We're gambling right now. Okay. Fire Energy. Grimer. Weedle. Zubat. Goldeen. Oops. That was a Poliwrath. Hypno. Pidgeot. Reverse Abra. Reverse Gengar. I think I needed that. I needed this for my binder, so that's good. And a Ditto. All right, only 3 packs left. I want to do some IRL streams. I definitely do. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. Honestly, right now would probably be a really good time to do it because there's so many flowers and things blooming right now. So I need to figure out when I'm gonna do it. Okay. There's gotta be fire holographic fire energy. That's great. There's gonna be something in this pack. There has to be, right? Right? They owe it to us. Electabuzz. Coughing. What's up, Alka? Welcome in. It's been a while. Tangela. Grimer. Rigid Band. Graveler. Protective Goggles. Reverse Executor. Reverse Executor. Reverse Shelter. And for the rare, an Articuno. 2 packs left. I'm just resetting my camera. Listen, if we got hello, if we got like a really really rare card, that would be awesome, right? It just make the whole thing worth it. But I have a feeling that the literal rarest card we got was the promo card. All right, here we go. 2 packs left. Dark Energy. Nidoran. Ghastly. Paris. Voltorb. Ammonite. Taurus. I don't think we've seen that in this opening yet. That's awesome. Kadabra. What's it gonna be? Reverse Zubat. And then we've got a reverse. Oh, I think I needed a reverse Nidoking for my binder. Oh, maybe not. I think maybe I need a reverse Nidoqueen for my binder. And then for the rare, a Mr. Mime. All right, my friends. This is why you don't open this set. You just watch people do it. You will spend so much money. And I don't know. I would say this: if you haven't opened this set before, it's fun because these are all of the original 151 Pokemon. But if you've opened as much as I have, at a certain point, you're like, give me the good stuff. All right, last pack. Charmander, Spearow, Rhyhorn, Ammonite, Taurus. This is the exact same pack as the Kadabra. Hey, we got something. Look at that. This is the again, I don't know if it's called trainer gallery or come on, focus. 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 Look at that. It's beautiful. I won't say no to this. I think I already have one, but I won't say no to it. No, actually no, I don't. I think I need this for my binder. I believed. Yeah. We'll look this up. I think this is probably worth like $10. Yeah, Stream forced me to open 10 packs of Pokemon cards. Nice. And for the rare? Oh my god! It's a god pack! No way! No way! Okay, so this is the thing that can happen where it has all three. No, look at this. It has all three. It has Bulbasaur. Oh my god, I haven't opened a god pack before. This is it! This is it! It has Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and then there's gonna be a Venusaur on the end. Ah! That's so cool. Okay, this was worth it. Look at that! I told you. So this is a very rare thing to occur, right? So in a if a pack were to have this, behind it would just be another reverse holo, and then you would have the rare slot. This is what's known as a god pack because it has the starter Bulbasaur, Ivysaur, and Venusaur. There's also god packs that have Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, and then there's a god pack with Squirtle, Wartortle, and Blastoise. This is insane. I never thought. I mean, at this point, this is definitely going to be the last box I ever open. I never thought I'd get a god pack. That's crazy. It's crazy. All right, let's take a look at this Ivysaur. That was way hyped. I mean, that was a huge buildup too, because we had to open the entire box before we got to it. Yeah, that's sick. And then the Venusaur EX is textured and glittery too. So sick. Nice. That's awesome. All right, let's look at the prices on these. Okay. Wait. Brought up opening. Were you the one that suggested opening a pack of cards? Let's do this. So if you want to look up the prices of cards, go to tcgplayer.com, go to Pokemon. Thank you, Sequel Gorchster. That was really fun. It paid off. And then go to Price Guide. And then from there, you can choose the set. We specifically want the 151 set. This one here. And then you can view the market prices of all these cards. And so if we look for Venusaur, this one here, wow, this is jeez. This Venusaur EX is a $40 card. That's crazy cool. Come on, focus. I wish TCG Player still gave away API keys. Oh, they don't anymore? I haven't tried. I scraped their pages a while back, but then they changed to this new layout, so my scraper doesn't work anymore. So wow, that's a $38 card. That's crazy. And then we also have the Ivysaur. Let's look that one up. It's a $17 card. Wow. And then the Bulbasaur. $20 card. So, this is not a normal thing to do, but I pretty much made my money back on this box. So if you look up, I think I did. I thought this box was like 85. So there's the Elite Trainer Box exclusive. Oh, never mind. I mean, I think I still made my money back because the promo was $40. So that's 80, 100. Yeah, I basically made my money back on this box. Because the whole box we just opened is like 115 or so dollars. Fascinating. But again, that's because this is Pokemon Center exclusive. They sold a limited amount on the Pokemon Center website. Yeah, so that's the one that we just opened. If you look at the non-exclusive one, that one is like $55. You can find these like in Walmart and stuff like that. What's up, James Warner? Welcome in. It's not this. Okay, I guess it's just the 150. Yeah, this one. if you find this like at Target or Walmart, you'll probably pay like $55 for it. But this was specifically the exclusive one. That's exciting. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you for hanging out for that. I think I have to go. I was gonna show. Here's what I'll do. I'll show you my binder, but I'm not gonna put the cards into the binder. But I'll show you all the cards I've collected so far. So, page 1. I'm not going to show you every page, but I'll at least just show you what this is. So, for every card, for every uncommon card, there's also a reverse holo card. So basically, this binder has the common card, the reverse holo, and then any ultra rare. So you can see it has like all the starters. The first part of my binder is mostly full, but then it starts to get some holes in it. But Nidoking, yeah, so I got the reverse holo Nidoking. I needed that. That goes in that slot right there. And then you can see there's a bunch more empty slots. But I probably am like 60 to 70% complete. But yeah, the good stuff is at the back. Back here. So you can see that I already had yeah, so I already had that Ivysaur, but I did not have the Bulbasaur, which is good. So the Bulbasaur is going to go right here. And then you get a binder to organize your plant seeds. I think that's a good idea. It's really glaring, but there's that Pikachu. Just Pikachu is super cool. And then I've got a few of the alternate arts, some of the full art trainers, and then yeah, I actually needed that alternate the trainer gallery Venusaur EX, because you can see I actually have 2 Charizards, so there's that Charizard, but the Venusaur is supposed to go right there. And then there's the really cool looking Blastoise and Charizard. Yeah, I started collecting this specific set about a year ago. And then I've got I actually have the Alakazam, and then there's I pulled this Zapdos live on stream a while back. But of the cards we just opened today, the Venusaur and the Bulbasaur are new. Those are going to go into the binder. It's fun. That was real fun. Yeah, thanks for tuning in as well, Connery. Connery was hyped right along with me when I opened that God Pack. Have you opened a God Pack, Connery? Yeah, I think that's the nice thing is I've gotten most of the expensive cards, so now if I decide to buy singles, it won't be as expensive. Yeah, because if you look at the price guide organized by price, the Charizard is the most expensive card in the set. Yeah, the Charizard is like, oh, you can't see my screen. The Charizard is a little over $100, But I have the Blastoise, I have the Venusaur, I have the Zapdos, I have this Charizard. That's amazing. I have all of the big ones. All of the big ones. Everything else I need is probably under like 15 bucks. But that's just for like the really rare cards. A lot of what I need are like reverse hollows, and those are like $1 or less. Yeah, so Pokemon's all over the place. Here's the thing to see. Basically every 3 months or so, they release a new set. And each set has like roughly 200 new cards inside of it. And so the set that we just opened is called 151, Scarlet and Violet 151. And what's cool about it is it only has the first 151 Pokemon. And so this came out like roughly a year ago. And so that was cool. It's nice and nostalgic because if you know the original 151 Pokemon, then you know all the Pokemon in here. Because if you look at these other sets, like Twilight Masquerade is the latest set. There are a bunch of Pokemon you have probably never heard of because they actually got added in Scarlet and Violet. And there's this like new style of Pokemon here. But yeah, if we look at one of these, we can see roughly how many cards are in the set. So yeah, there's 167 main cards in this set, but there's also secret rares. So this set alone, this Twilight Masquerade that just came out, roughly 200 cards. You can probably find a lot of these most recently released sets at like Target and Walmart. You're going to find like Temporal Forces, Twilight Masquerade, Paldean Fates. Paldean Fates is fun because they have shiny Pokemon. So every year, one of the sets that gets released includes what are called shiny Pokemon. And they look like this. They're like alternate versions of the Pokemon, but they're shiny, they're like a slightly different color. So Paldean Fates is pretty cool because if you pull these rarer cards, you can get those shiny cards. And then you'll probably see Paradox Rift in stores. You'll see 151 every now and then like some of these. But then the older the sets get, you don't see them for sale in the stores anymore. You pretty much have to buy secondhand, and the prices go up on those kinds of things. Yeah. Hiding your wallet. Yeah, the thing is, like, there was a minute there where I got addicted to buying cards. So basically I started collecting right around here when these sets came out, and I bought way too many and opened way too many. But like basically from here all the way to, so from bottom right, Hidden Fates, all the way to Crown Zenith, I bought many packs of every single one of these sets. And then there's some of the stuff from Sun and Moon I opened packs for. Like I've opened Unified Minds, I've opened Team Up, but never any like big amounts. Because every now and then you'll get like a thing that has like a few older packs inside of it. But this is what I mean by sets. Basically, every 3 months they release a brand new set, and it has a bunch new cards printed in that set. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna get out of here though. This was super fun. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Like I said, I'm gonna try to stream more regularly. Next time I stream, we'll probably work on this Solid app again. Yeah, I went to visit my family home probably like 2 years ago, and I went and got all of my old cards. They were in really bad condition, but it was cool to see them because I have this is where these came from. They are base set Charizard and Venusaur and Blastoise, but I'm hiding the fact that they're actually Spanish. So the Hydro Bomba and the Giro Fuego and Rayo Solar. So I lived in Germany when I was a kid, so all of the international versions of the cards were really easy to find, and so I traded for these Spanish ones. What's up, Itash? And then my wife got this for me. I'm never gonna open this. It's just a sealed jungle pack. just to display. There's probably not anything good in it because back then, even there's some more modern sets where you could weigh the packs. And so if someone opened a booster box, they would like weigh the packs and pull out all the heavy ones because then they know that the rare cards are in the heavier ones. So it's very likely that this was a weighed pack and there's nothing nice in there. So I'm never going to open it, ever. Never, ever. Basically, it's worth more sealed than it is to open it because there's probably nothing fancy in there. Okay, I'm going to get out of here, but let's go on a raid. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. This was super fun. If you're watching over on YouTube, head over to twitch.tv/codinggarden. You can join us in the raid. Basically, it's just going to take all the people that are in this stream and send them over to another stream. So head over there. If you're watching here on Twitch, this is our raid message. And James Warner says, was cool to catch the stream, even just the end. Thank you, James. Thanks for tuning in. Take it easy as well. But yeah, you can copy that raid message. And thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I have no idea when I'll be live again, but keep an eye on the Discord. And also you can potentially join the mailing list if you want to get go live notifications. See you later, Alka. Good night. Have a good one. And Drills, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you. Yeah, check out the mailing list there. All right. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.